Anywhere you need a push.
It's not been easy, but yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but I'm up to date to where Mr. Kingsley stopped.
That's good.
Then I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. Okay, on the changing of the dynamic IP address for the machine itself, do we have to change it to static IP before we go into changing our DNS?
Which one are you talking about?
What machine?
That's the
Speak like an IT professional. You need to be specific right now, not just don't just
the machine. We don't know which one it is. Are
you talking about your Windows domain controller? What machine are you talking about?
Okay, the virtual machine that is on the hypervisor.
So
I'm talking about the Windows server.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. The differentiation.
Okay. So from my machine, so what I'm saying is that should I change my machines, my actual machine, my physical machine, to the static IP, the dynamic IP to the static IP before I go over to the Windows server to change my IP from the Windows server?
No. For changing your machine to a static IP, that's optional. That's optional because you don't necessarily need to. But if you want to do it just because you want to have one IP on your main machine, that's fine. But the only focus that we're focusing right now is on your virtual machine, your virtual server. That's the only one that you need to make it a static IP because that's a server. A server is supposed to have a static IP. Even at your work environment, the server is supposed to have a static IP because the reason being that if that server restarts or at some point they do an update on that server and they restart that server, they don't want DHCP to give it a new IP. They want it to stay on that same IP because everybody in the world that's accessing that server from any part of the world that works at that company, they want to have a constant communication with that server. And you don't want the IP to be fluctuating. Fluctuating means that today it changed, today it goes to a different one. They don't want that. So they want to set it a static IP. That's the reason why we're setting our server a static IP, because you don't want people trying to access, if that server restarts and then somebody try to access that server now, it has a new IP. You're going to have a whole lot of bunch of tickets coming in like, oh, I can access this server. I don't have permission to access this server. Or somebody saying like, oh, I was able to access the server yesterday, but today I can access the server. Reason being that what? IP address has changed. But so long as you put it a static IP, you will not have that problem. You will never have a ticket coming in like, oh, yesterday I had this problem with the server. Today, I still cannot access the server. Because why? Even if you restart the server, it's still going to have that static IP.
Okay, so something happened again. When I was home and I was configuring the IP to a static IP on the Windows server, when I got to work, I didn't finish. So when I got to work, I wanted to do it. But I noticed that when I did it, it showed the orange box that it wasn't connected to the internet. So what I noticed was that since I changed the Wi-Fi to another Wi-Fi, that was why it couldn't connect to the internet. So I had to check again my IP address and my default gateway because that changed since the Wi-Fi connection changed to a different ISP.
It doesn't matter if the main Wi-Fi or your main machine change. It doesn't matter.
Let me just comment. So Faith, think of it this way. What we're trying to achieve here is think of a data center. Like your data center could be in, say, Texas, for example, and you are in Boston, right? So the physical hardware that the hypervisor is going to be installed upon is in that data center. It's one of those servers that I've showed you in many of the videos that we've watched on YouTube. That is the servers in the racks, right? You remember, right? That are racked up and stacked and all that. So think of your machine, your physical machine, as one of those servers. Somewhere, it's in some data center or some server room in basement of your office, something like that, right? We install a type 2 hypervisor. I remember I told you in class now, we are using type 1 hypervisors, but at work, you don't want to mention, when you start doing interviews, you never want to mention type 1 hypervisors. Don't talk about Oracle VirtualBox. Don't talk about VMware Player, because you cannot say you have 3 or 4 years experience working for this big company, and then those companies are using VirtualBox. They're gonna know that you're a joke, right? So in a typical work environment, your hypervisor is gonna be either VMware, VMware, the version of VMware is gonna be either EXXI 6.5, 6.7, 7.1. You're going to talk about Hyper-V. You're going to talk about KVM. You're going to talk about Citrix Zen. So all those are type 2 hypervisors. So your type 2 hypervisor is sitting on that server. And then on that server, your virtual machines will be built. It could be a Windows virtual machine. It could be a Linux. It could be Solaris. It could be IBM EIX. The virtual machine on the hypervisor doesn't matter. So what you're most concerned about is a static IP of the virtual machine, not the physical server itself, right? So your static IP will be set to the server so that anywhere in the world, you can make a remote connection to that server, right?
Using that same IP.
Now, what happened was that I hadn't set it yet to a static IP, right?
That's why.
I'm still coming to who you are. Like,
let me just explain this a little bit again. Okay. So now when I was home, I checked my default gateway and my IP address, right? And that was what I wanted to use to configure my server IP address. Yes. Okay. So I was doing it, and then I just left it at that point, and I took it to work.
Okay.
And I went further with it, but it didn't. The internet access, it didn't connect.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Okay, whenever you leave your network, your local area network, and you go to somebody else's local area network, what's gonna happen? You connect to that Wi-Fi.
You're gonna get a new IP address.
Server of that in that local area network. It's gonna provision your server a new IP address, right? It's gonna send it a new. Even if you just have, even if it's not a server, let's say just a phone or a laptop or whatever. It's going to send it a new IP, and you connect to the internet and you do whatever you want to do. When you go back home, that IP is not going to be the same. Your own DHCP is going to send you another IP, right? So because you were in your local area network, you started the configuration, right? The moment you breached, you're asking the DHCP server of your LAN to look at the virtual machine that you are provisioning as a normal machine that is part of that LAN. Send it an IP address, you know. So when you start the configuration, there's already an IP address to that machine. Maybe it's cached somewhere. You stop the configuration. You take it over to another LAN, say at work, right? And you continue with the configuration. The IP that was provisioned to you at home is not gonna work, right? So maybe you want to start by rebooting that machine, right? And letting the DHCP server in the new environment that you walked into send a new IP address to that virtual to that machine. But you still need to bridge again. Don't forget, you still need to bridge that machine because it's not gonna work. Does that make sense? Because the IP that was provisioned to that machine when you were at home was because you breached that network. So DHCP in your home environment was able to see that, okay, there's a new machine to the network. Let me assign it an IP. And then you took that IP and you make it permanent. Now you walk into another environment, right? You need to breach that machine again so that the DHCP server in that environment will be able to see it and then send a new IP to it. So when you walk into that environment, say work or your friend's place, wherever you are, reboot your machine and then breach again. It will take care of that problem for you. If not, even though you get an IP from the new LAN, it's not going to work.
All right.
Sorry, Mr. Kingsley. So what happened was that when I got there, I did that and it worked, right, at work. So now I'm back home. Is it still, can my internet on my machine still connect to my virtual machine? Can I still access the internet on my virtual machine since it's been connected already?
Yes. So long as you set a static IP, it does not matter where, it does not matter whoever network you're on.
Anymore. It's just gonna work.
Okay. Yeah, but if you were doing the configuration process and you did not click OK or complete, it's never gonna save that setting that you were making. So it's still gonna be at the DHCP, so long as even if we were configuring them a static IP, but you didn't save the settings, it's not gonna complete it. So it's gonna still be, the machine is gonna still be like a DHCP machine. It's not gonna have a static IP in the sense that anywhere you go now, once your main laptop has an internet service, the main laptop is gonna assign another IP to the virtual machine because it hasn't been configured to have a static IP yet. So that's the reason why we set static IPs on virtual machine.
So Faith, have you been in a situation where you visit a friend with your machine, right? And the moment you walk in, let's say you've been to that local area network before, you've been at your friend's place before, right?
And
they give you the Wi-Fi password and you connect, and then you go home, and then like 1 week later, you come back into that network, your machine just connects automatically. You don't.
Yes.
It's the same thing. So once you do that configuration and you set that IP static, you do the same thing at home, right? When you go back at home, it's just going to connect because that IP is part of that LAN and you've already saved that configuration.
All right.
Before you go back to work, vice versa, it's still going to work the same unless you didn't save, which I believe you did. So you won't have a problem.
All right. Before we start.
So if you go to maybe a third different LAN, right? And you get there, you get the what's it called, the password to the Wi-Fi, and you connect it to your physical machine. Automatically, it would connect and the internet connection to the virtual machine.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You don't have to go and breach it again.
Yeah, because that's the reason why we breached
it. Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
No worries. All right. Before we start, I have a quick interview question. Can anyone tell me why my username shows like this? If anyone has an idea about it, just give me I want to hear everybody's options. Can you tell me why my user machine? Now you, Mr. Jared. Can anyone tell me why my username is like this? Yes.
Yeah, because you are the administrator, so maybe your server has the domain controller. So that's why.
Of course, my server has a domain controller, but I'm asking why the username, instead of the username just appearing to be administrator, because I'm the administrator of the machine, actually. Why does it have to be Kingsley/administrator?
So it could be Kingsley.
It could still be, it could just appear just administrator. But why is it appearing like that?
I think let me try.
Okay.
I think it's simply because you added a domain name.
Mr. Jeff, you're right there on the point, but you haven't hit the rod very hard. You gotta hit it where it's still hot. you know, Mr. Jeff is right. It's right. The reason, let me give you the answer. The reason why my username is like that is because why? This is my domain. This is the domain name. You guys remember last class when I was adding the domain, I was setting up a domain, right? And I used my domain name to be kingsley.com, king.com, sorry, or king.edu, whatever one that works. So now it's telling me that this machine is on a domain. Even if I added another machine, like a regular machine on this domain controller, right? When I try to log into that machine, first of all, what it's going to show is going to show my domain first, then slash whoever is logging in. It could still be student. It could still be maybe Jeff. It's going to be Kingsley/Jeff logging in. It's going to be Kingsley/Jonathan logging in. Kingsley/Faith logging in. Because why? The king here is the domain controller. It's telling you that this machine is already introduced into a domain. That's one thing that you can quickly notice when you're at your work. when you're trying to log into a machine, so long as it shows like that. If you have that domain controller in front, that machine is already introduced to the domain. All the user needs to do is just log in. Now that it's already shown like this, is because now I'm already in the domain. I'm going to sign in. I just need my password.
Senior Kingsley, sorry, I was a bit distracted. Could you explain it again? Why the king/administrator? I'm sorry.
You said, let me go by yours. When we're doing the domain controller last week, right? What did you say your domain name to be as? What was your domain name when you were introducing your server to the domain?
Actually, I haven't done that part yet.
All right, that's why you're having issue. Yeah. The reason why mine is like that, let me show you right here. See if I go here. Let me scroll down. So you see my domain name? You see it here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it says kingsley.com, right?
Yes.
That's my domain name. Yes. If I wanna add any machine to this domain controller right here, I'm just gonna go to that part where so let me try to add another machine. So I go to RDP. This is my other, I'm trying to connect to my other machine via RDP. Sorry guys, I was on mute. All right, so I'm trying to remote connect to my other machine. No, it's failing. Nope.
Kingsley, check to ensure that you are a host. I need to reboot my machine.
All right, let me make that first. See that. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Are you guys recording as well?
Huh?
Are you guys recording as well?
Well, what?
Recording.
Yes, I am. Connect. All right, let me not go to that that point right now. But what I'm trying to say is that you see how the domain name is this? It shows kingsley.com, right? Let me sign out of this machine. Let me do sign out to this machine, do control delete. So let me lock this machine. So if I try to sign back to this machine, all right, you see that's the domain name that I added. Yes, so sir. If you add any other machine to this domain, that my domain that I created that was called king.com. That's the domain. So if you hear at your company, if they ask you at your company, like, oh, what's your domain name? It's gonna be easily for you to know your domain name by your email address, because your email address is always gonna have your domain name. Like at my company, my email address and my work email address is my first name dot my last name at. It has the at instead of at gmail.com. It's gonna have the at my company name.com, which is domain controller. That's how they set it to be. So if you understand, like if I had to have an email from this domain controller, this, let's say for instance, this was my job, right? If they wanted to give me an email address, it's gonna be my first name dot my last name at king.com, because the king.com is the domain controller. So it makes it very easy for you to trace, like, let's say somebody send you an email from an outside network trying to communicate with you, and they need permission to join your company to like have a meeting or something like that. And they ask for like, oh, then your company now is going to ask them for their domain controller so they can put it on our group policy, so they can be able to have access to stuff in our company. They're going to be like, okay, what is your domain name, so we can add it to our group policy so we can give you access for you to be able to connect to our computers and have meetings and share ideas about, maybe let's say for instance, it's a company that is trying to bring us a new ideas. They try to sell something. I'll be like, okay, we want to introduce you guys to let's say Microsoft Teams, or maybe a VirtualBox. Be like, okay, this new system of VirtualBox, but they are not on that domain. if they want to be on that domain, they have to give us their domain name so we can add them to a certain group policy that's going to make them understand that, okay, it's going to make our system understand that this person, we've given them access for them to be able to join us and attend a meeting. And then that's exactly what it's going to be. So this here is your domain name. Like if I want to sign in as a different user, I can sign in. I have 2 users on this machine. So I can switch users. Let me do this. Let me switch a user. I think I have another user that I created on this machine. I don't think it was this machine now. So if I want to do another user, I'm going to do here. This is what I'm going to do. King. If I do a backslash, you see I changed down here. Mr. Jonathan, watch. You see down here where it says sign into. Yes. So if I do this, you see it already shows me sign into King. The reason why it shows me sign into King here is because why? This machine is already a domain. It's already into a domain. If it was not in the domain, it's not going to show me this. Now it's asked me to sign in as King. But if I have another user account on this machine, I'm just going to do student. It's not going to work. What I have to do as student, first of all, the first time you have to do King backslash. You see I changed now. Then now I put in my password. If I put in the password, I don't know. I don't have a user on this machine yet. You see, it's not going to sign in because what? I don't have another user like that, first of all. But if I want to sign in, I can do, you see I do King, I do administrator. Okay. And I put my password. Because administrator is the only account that I have on this machine right now. Look at, it's going to sign in. Because why? Administrators, that's exactly what it was showing before. But I just show you another way of signing in. Like if I want to sign in as you, Mr. Jonathan, let me quickly create another user on this machine. Let me see if I can create another user on it. No, I don't want to create another user on myself. Okay. Let me minimize this and okay. I don't know why it's not connecting to my other machine. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Jonathan, this is my other machine. Oh, sorry, guys. I have my stock market open. We'll get into that some other time if you guys are interested.
One of your secrets.
That's my stock market machine. So I'm just logging into it. So this is another machine that I have right here. Let me go. I'll show you the user accounts that I have on this machine. I have 2 user accounts, but I haven't introduced this machine to a domain. So if I go to let's see, accounts right here. So it says change account settings, logout, signed out. Let me switch accounts. All right. No. Let me sign back in. All right, I'll switch account. Yeah, lock the account. Oh, don't just locked. What I'm trying to show you guys right now is very, very, very important because this is how you're going to introduce your machines to a domain. Let me introduce that other machine to a domain. So to introduce this machine to a domain, this is my virtual machine that I'm on, my stock machine that you guys saw. If I minimize it here, that's my main machine, and this is my main machine in the back. Minimize it. This is my main machine. This is my other machine, the one that I showed you guys, and this is my server right here. My server is right here, which is the domain controller. You see, it has a domain name. All right, let me minimize my server. Let me introduce my virtual machine now to that domain. What I'm gonna do to introduce your machine to a domain, all you do is you can go to File Explorer. Just right click on this PC, properties. You go to, what is it, change settings. No. Okay. Simple, advanced settings. Okay, so you go to advanced settings because my settings here looks different, but on some other machines it's gonna look different as well. But this one, you go to advanced settings. When you see your machine appear like this, you go to advanced settings, go to computer name, then do change. Are you guys watching? Because I don't want to repeat myself again afterwards. So you go to change. You see where it says domain. I'm going to click on domain. Instead of work group anymore, I'm not going to have work group because work group means that the machine is not on the domain. That's what I was explaining to you guys last 2 classes. So I'll click now on domain. It's going to ask me for the domain name that I want to introduce to. I'm going to do king.com. That's all you have to do. You're going to do okay. It's going to tell you. It says an active directory domain controller for this domain king.com cannot be contacted. Ensure that your domain name is typed incorrect. Let's make sure.
That's the same message I was getting when I tried to do it.
Yeah, I get your point now, Mr. Jarvis. Let's see.
Are you not King? Is it not because you're using the same domain name on both machines?
No, domain name you can. That's how you add another machine to a domain.
Okay.
But let me do a virtual machine instead of my actual local machine because it might have something to do with my DSCP. Because I was watching this video the other day, it says for you to add another machine on your domain, because I already have a domain right now in my house, which is DSCP that is giving me assigning me IPs. So now I'm gonna have a conflict. Definitely, that's the reason why, Mr. Jarvis, you have that same message that I'm having right now, because you already have a domain controller. For you to be able to get rid of that message, you have to go to your router and turn off DSCP, which is another whole a lot of stuff to do. But in a working environment, that's exactly how you're going to do it because everything has already been set. You will not have that error message, but what I just showed you, that's the exact route that you're going to take. But let me do it using a virtual machine instead of so you see how it makes it more easy. So I have this other 2016 right here. Let me use this one. I think, was that the one that I introduced in the domain?
But just to say one thing, I think it will show me the same message because I'm using the default. I'm using the default gateway of my router, so I'm still getting in touch with the router. So it might show me the same message because I did it with the virtual machines.
You did it with the virtual machines?
Yes.
It's show you some error, right? It's because of it's because of your local area network. That's the reason why it's not going to go through. But if I had mine turned off, when you go to that procedure that I showed you, it's going to give you that access. Let me just close this. Okay. But what I was saying is that if you go to the virtual machine, to a machine, it doesn't matter if it's a virtual machine or not. If you're at a work environment, so long as you have the domain name, right? You want to introduce a new machine to a domain. All you just got to do, go on that machine itself, go to change, switch from work group to domain. But if you go into change and you see it's already set to a domain, you have to change that domain name. It does not matter what, let's okay, if it was jarvis.com, which is your own domain, right? Instead of if I came here, like the machine here had jarvis.com as a domain controller, that means that machine was introduced to your domain in Sweden. And then a machine came to me here in United States of America. I want to introduce my own domain. All I'm just going to do is go in here. Instead of jarvis.com, I'm going to change it to me. I'm going to change it to my own domain. That's all you have to do to introduce a machine to a domain. And once you do that, You click OK. It's going to ask you to restart the machine. This one, I'll look at that error different time. But that's exactly what we're going to do. Once you change to this domain name, you click OK. It's going to tell you that that machine needs to restart for it to be introduced to that domain. And the next step, after you click OK, you take accept, it's going to tell you like, oh, restart your machine now for this machine to join a domain, or if you want to restart later on. So you have the option to restart. Let's say if you were working on the machine, maybe you have some other stuff to do before you restart. You can just do cancel. But you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you restart that machine, because if you don't restart that machine, even if you've put the domain name there, that machine is still not going to join the machine, join the domain until you restart it for it to take action. Because once you restart the machine, they are what they call services. The services are going to start up. Like if I go here, I do system, I think it's services. Right there. So there's something that you call services. These are all your services. They're running on the back end. You can come here, you can stop at services. You see DNS client, I can pause it, I can stop it, I can pause it, I can restart it. These are services that I call. When you get familiar into like a working environment, you get to this. Sometimes there's always going to be like you're trying to do something, it's not working. You're going to come here into these services. You have to stop a service. You see how it says display policy services? I can restart that display. Let's say you are having issues with a display something, or maybe fax and you try to send an email or not. You have file history services. All kinds of services, you have them in here running the back. Hypervisor. You can do a hypervisor shutdown services. If the hypervisor shutdown services was not working, you try to shut down your your virtual machine, a Windows virtual machine. It's not shutting up. You can come down here and you turn off the hypervisor. You just go here, restart it. You click on it, or you can right click on it, do refresh, restart, start, even check the property of it. So there's so many services that you have in your machine that are running on the back end that you can go in there and check it. Like you see, I keep going down there. These are all services that are running. And this has to do with your machine. If one of these services stop, something else on your machine can stop working. Like you see a Windows update. There's Windows update services that you have in here. Windows update. If I stop this Windows update services, you see how it says enable status. It's not running yet. But if you see the status here, it says running. And these ones are manual services that you can start them up. I can start this service up. But these ones are already running. Those are services that your machine needs. By default, your machine needs that services for it to boot up. If this one of these services are turned off, your machine might probably crash or something might happen to your machine. So you see how they run automatically. They've been set automatically. The ones that are set manually, it's up to you now to turn it on or off. If you want to put that service on or off. So you don't necessarily have to turn on the services. But when you go into more details, like when you're working in a working environment, there's going to be a time that you're going to go in there, you turn on a service. You can turn it off, turn it back on. Off. But those are just services I was showing you guys. But as I said earlier, this is how you introduce your machine to a domain. Like I can introduce this machine to a domain by just going into right click on this computer, go to properties, go to advanced setting on mine, computer name, change, and I click on domain. It's going to ask you to put in a domain. Same way you click on here. Here is work group. But when you click on domain, you have to put whatever domain you want to use. Let's say whatever domain you're in. Let's say even I was at Jonathan's domain. I want to add my machine to his domain. I'm just going to come in here, remove my own domain controller name. I'm going to remove my own domain controller name, which was king.com. I'm going to just cancel that and put Mr. Jonathan's domain controller name too as well. I'm going to be introduced to his network and it's going to ask me to restart. That's how exactly it works. So that's just to complete a domain controller. But let's go back now to Active Directory, because that's one of the most important ones that you guys need to know. So AD, DNS, as the Active Directory services. If you want to access the Active Directory services, you go here to Tools. You see the Active Directory services right here. Yes, Active Directory Administration Center, Active Directories, users on computers. You see where it says users on computers? That's how you add a user, you create a user account, you add a computer to the network as well using Active Directory. So if I click on that, it's going to open me my Active Directory services. I can go here, right click on this, I can find a username that's already been in my domain. That's how you find. You go to your local, it says mykingsley.com, which is going to, some are going to show local.com. Let me show you guys this for my work computer, right? Because I'm doing all this is just virtual machine. Let me share my work computer so you guys can see how a work environment looks like.
Yeah.
That would be better because that's what I meant to do in this class. 1 second, let me stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay. Let me go now to, let's go into work environment. Let me bring you guys to my work environment so you guys can see exactly what I mean. All right. All right, let me exit this. This is just something we're gonna go into later on. That's file system. You guys have a little bit of work to do though. All right. Screen 2. Share. All right. So you guys can see my screen, right? This is my work environment right here. This is my work computer and my job. So let me first of all connect to the VPN because I cannot access anything without being. Let me just show you this first of all, so you guys can see my domain, the domain that I'm on, which is my work domain. So if I go here, I go to this PC, I right click, I go properties. So if you look here, you see the domain name. You see this is the domain name. You see it right here? You see domain name? You see what it says? So that's my company domain's name. That's a company domain. That means this machine is already introduced to a domain. If you look at yours, it's going to say here work group. It's not going to give you any domain name because that machine has not been introduced to a domain yet. All it's just going to give you is work group. That's what you're going to see. But let's go into my work environment so I can show you Active Directory. Let me first of all connect. Let me see if I'm connected to my VPN because I got to connect to the network so I can get access. All right. So right now I'm getting to work. By me connecting to the VPN, it means that I'm at the workplace right now. I'm in my company right now. This VPN is giving me access to my workplace, telling me that it's telling my computer that I'm in a working environment. I'm at the domain right now. So I can be able to access my shared drives, which are this. Let me show you my shared drives at my job. So you guys can see. All right. If I go to this PC right here, let me maximize. These are my shared drive at my job, at my work. Can you guys see that? Oh, it looks like it's frozen. All right. I can see from my other computer. Let me share again. Okay. I'll share that one. And I'll move this over. You guys let me know where you can see that. Can you guys see my screen?
I think it's still loading up.
Yeah, it's still loading as well. I can see from my other computer here. I don't know why it's acting like it's funny today. Okay. Let's try this again one more time. Oh, I see why. It's because I'm on my domain. So it won't let me. Let me get off the domain so you guys can see. Yeah, it's company policies. So you see how you guys can set policies that can make your computer not even be able to share stuff. Why is he acting like this? Hold on. I don't know why it's not able to share. Man. All right, give me a second. Let me restart this machine, then I'll reconnect back to the machine so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, okay. Now it came up. Crazy. All right, let's just use this screen. Don't pay no mind to the node that's behind, but I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, can I access because I have to be on the domain first of all. Let me connect back to my network. All right. So this is the same Active Directory I just showed you guys. Let me close this back and open it back again. So you see this one? You guys see this one down here? Can you guys see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's something we call shareware. Let me just move it over so you guys can see it over here. You see this? That's our ticketing system that we use at my job. This one is called shareware. If I double click on it, it's going to open because right now I'm connected to my workplace, so it's loading. I'll show you how we see our ticketing.
Kingsley, I don't think they know what a ticketing system is.
All right, let me not go into that. Let me not go into that.
I know you're going to talk about it, but it's still an opportunity to. I don't know if you wanted to talk about ticketing systems today or tomorrow, but
I'll do it today, sometime today. But let me finish first with my Active Directory so you guys get the understanding. Okay. First of all, yeah, I know I was getting you guys confused for a second there, but I don't want to. So let's go back into Active Directory. It's just loading up. So this is my domain. You see how when I open on my virtual machine, it shows here kingsley.com, right? So you see how my own company name is, the domain controller here is different. It shows here crop.a domain controller name, which was the same domain controller, the domain name that I showed you guys on my computer that's connected to. So this is Active Directory. This is where you make all changes and stuff. So if I go here, I click here, I go to because here you see how the main name says Active Directory users and computers. That was what I clicked on when I was on my server. I clicked on users and computers, and it came to this. So this is where I can find any user for my company. I can go here. Let me find myself for my company. So you can go here. This is where it says you can change here. It says users, contact, and groups. That's what you can find. You can change to computers. I can change to computer. Let me find my work computer, which is my computer I'm using right now. So the computer name is, because my work computer has a computer name. Let me do dash 3W1. So this is my work computer. That's my work computer that appeared there. The one that I'm working, this computer I'm working with you guys right now on. If I want to make sure you guys, if I want to make you guys, for you guys to see that computer name, let me go here and I'll search for, you see it, because they use the serial number. Let me do Dell. Do Dell command update. That's my Dell command update because that's where we do all the updates for Dell. I'm using a Dell machine, but let it load over. I'm going to move it over. Okay. This is what I was telling you guys about. Like you can tell your serial number of the computer. If you look here, it says service stack right there. You see service stack? That was the same name I put into Active Directory. Right there. That's the same name. You see it? The only difference is that it has a tablet in front, because why? It's a company name. So when we're buying machines, we're buying computers from Dell. Dell use the serial number as the computer name to make it easy. Let's say if you're trying to call Dell for them to troubleshoot that machine, they'll be like, okay, what's the serial number of the computer? You don't have to go flip the computer in the back for you to look at the serial number. You can just go by that computer name. Just use, instead of you using tablets dash this, all you're just gonna do is you use this last number right here, which is the serial number of the machine. So they'll make it in the same way that's very easy. So that's exactly what I just want to show you guys so you can see. This is a Latitude 5300. It's a new model of Dell. I can go here, I can do check. It's going to check for any updates on my machine. Make sure that the machine is up to date. It's going to tell me any new driver that's been updated. This is where you do it. This is where you do troubleshooting. For Lenovo has the one that Mr. Gerard showed you guys the last time. You go to the Lenovo, same like this one too. So you see, my machine has 7 updates. If I want to do right now, I'll just go down here. If I want to view it, I'll view what updates are there. If it's important or not, these are the updates right here. It showed you right here. If it's important or not, and all these updates are important updates. Close. I can do install. It will do it. But let me cancel, because if I do it at some point, it's going to restart my machine because I don't want it to restart. I can do that later on. But let's go back to Active Directory. So now that's how I search a computer. And you can, when you search a computer like that, you can right click on the computer. You go to properties as well, right? When you go to properties, it's going to open the properties right here. You can manage. This is how you manage a computer at work. I can go into this computer, see the member that this computer is joined to. So this computer is a member of domain computers, which is your domain network. It's a group policy that's already been set as where, remember when we were telling you guys last class that when you're at a working environment, when they bring you a brand new machine, you don't have to do it manually by you going in and putting the domain name as the way I showed you guys. This is the reason of this policy. This policy that says domain computer. Automatically, when you bring a brand new computer into that network, all you just have to do, plug that computer with an Ethernet cable, power it on. This policy is going to take action. This policy that says domain computers. That's how that policy works. It's going to do everything that you were supposed to do manually. It's going to do it automatically. It's going to introduce that computer to a domain. Like, it's going to be like, okay, this is a new computer for this network. Let's introduce it to a domain. That's how it goes. That's the policy. The next policy down here that you guys see that says Office 365 computer policy is after the first one is done, introducing that computer to a domain. Now, automatically, this next policy is going to introduce that computer to a Office 365 license for that company, because the company has bought an enterprise license that any computer that is enrolled to the domain of that network, give it full, not full actually, because Office 365 has different capabilities. They have the admin console that you can have admin rights to make changes in Office 365, which is something else that we're going to go into. And also this one is just giving you, is the policy just installing Microsoft Office on your computer. That means when I say Microsoft Office, that means PowerPoint, Excel, Access, Outlook, and Word. Those are the 5 applications that the policies is going to install on your computer automatically when you introduce that computer to a domain.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Yes, you said that this domain computers is an automated process. So how does it prevent individual users from adding their private machines into the domain?
It prevents you because why? It's already been set. It's a group policy. That's what they call it, a policy, because it's in Active Directory that they create a policy. And I'll show you guys how you create a policy in Active Directory, because you create the policy. You can tell that policy that, okay, if any other machine come onto this network, if that machine is not introduced to the domain, it's never going to have access to any other applications and whatnot stuff. That's why this first one comes in. That's the reason of this. Just this one that you see, domain computer, it has a lot of policies. And let me show you guys where exactly that one comes from. If you go here, so you can see here, you have all the different options right here. Windows, it says workstation.
No, I'm not seeing that.
Oh, my screen froze. Yeah, it froze again.
Yes, your screen is frozen.
Yeah. Let me do that again. Okay. Which one are we on? Screen 3. Screen 2, screen 1. Okay. I don't know why this screen is acting like this today. Yeah.
So while Kingsley is trying to take care of this, let me just make a comment on group policy. So group policy is one thing that you guys should really, really pay attention to, because it's very, very important for you to understand group policies and what group policies do. In a typical working environment, you will have a lot of group policies. And just so you understand more on group policies, I'll give you an example. So you might have heard that at work you cannot just go to the internet and download software. You cannot just go to the internet, you're opening any website you wish, things like that.
Right.
Any typical work environment might have those policies in writing, but how are they actually going to prevent you from not visiting a certain website or not downloading certain software? How are they going to prevent you from doing that? They do that by using group policy. They can set a group policy, for example, say you cannot use a USB port on any computer at work. So once that group policy is in effect, if you bring your thumb drive, right, and you insert on your laptop at work, and your laptop is part of the domain, it's not going to work. All the ports are going to be deactivated because of the group policy. So you can also set a group policy and say you cannot access Google. No matter what you do, you're never going to be able to access google.com. So that's how you use group policies. So you can set group policies to regulate the way the work environment is supposed to be. What users can do, what users cannot do, in terms of how they have access to their machines and in terms of the things they can do. So you have on Active Directory, you have like more than 100 different group policies. You have group policies for everything. You have group policies for networking. You have group policies for patching the system. You have group policies for hardware. You have group policies for scanning the system. Like there are so many group policies. You have like 200 or 300 group policies, but it's not like you're gonna set 300 group policies. The work environment is gonna decide which group policy they wanna set. And when they have the group policies in effect, then it gets implemented in the work environment. And as long as that Active Directory server is up and running, the group policy kicks in and regulates that working environment. Does that make sense?
So if you guys look at my screen right now, you see something that they call, like you see a couple of, this is a bunch of machines right here. These are all bunch of machines. And all these machines that you see in this task right here, those are all domain controllers. That's my company, all domain controllers that we have. You see where we have them? It has a site here. It has this here, Tampa. We have a domain controller in Tampa. We have two here in New York. We have Lakeview, we have Knoxville, and then we have Hingham. Hingham, which is Massachusetts, which is where I work, my office where I work. So we have 1, 2, 3 in my office where I work. We have 2 in New York. We have 2 in, those are all domain controllers that we have. So those are all domains, but they are all one and the same domain, but they are in different locations. So we have multiple domains. These are all domain controllers. You see here that I click on domain controllers. It shows me domain controller. If I go to workstation objects, if I click on there, it's going to show me these are all machines that we have in our network. It keep going down. You see, I keep going all the way down. We have thousands and thousands of machines. So I can come in here, look for a machine, right click on that machine, remove this machine I can delete the machine from the network. If I delete this machine right now, automatically that machine is off the domain. So you gotta be careful when you're in Active Directory. When you go into Active Directory, make sure you're doing exactly what you go there to do. Because if you click something, you've messed up the whole network. These are all machines that are running right now. If I want to deactivate a machine, I can go in here and find my machine. I can go here and I can look for my machine in here. If I find my machine in here, I'm going to see it. See if I go, my machine was, I'm typing the wrong place. sorry. So if I go here, it's -3 W1 and MT2. So it's gonna show me my machine. Oh, it's because I want to change it. Hold on. I have to change it first of all here to computers. It's gonna tell me that, okay, because you have to change that you're looking for a computer, you're not looking for user. W1 and MT2. All right, so that's the machine right there. It's showing me the machine that's in here somewhere in this multiple bunch of machines right here. The machines is somewhere in there, I don't know, but I cannot keep going because it's a whole lot. And if I go to users, you have users, and then you have users object. So these are the users that we have. We have DSCP users, we have DSCP admins, we have done different names. You can see a whole bunch of users in there. These are all policies that you can set. If you go in here, let me just look for one, IT contract approvers. Let's open that. So you see, it shows you member of. When you go to member of, it's going to tell you what member that this person, you can add the person to a different group. But this is not where you add a member to. If you want to add a member or somebody else, let me minimize this. You can right click here, go to find. You see, it's already on users and computers. Let me look for my name. I'll look for myself since I'm already with the company. Just do my first name. I can do my last name as well. Or I can just do King. I don't even have to finish the full name. If I do search, it's going to search for anybody that has King on their name. But if I want to make it specific, I can do King space, I do N, because that's my last name. It's going to show just me. So that's just me. I have 2 accounts. That's what I was telling you guys, that I have 2 accounts in my company. One that says admin. That one gives me admin right because I'm an admin in my company. I can install applications on users' computers. That's my admin account that I have. And I also have my regular account as an employee. That's why I was telling you guys that in Active Directory, you have 2 accounts. As an admin for a company, you have one admin account, you have a regular user account. The admin account is purposely for you to use when you want to, it require you to, if you're doing a download on your computer as an admin, if it's an application that the company approves, you want to install your computer, it's going to ask you for admin privileges. That's when you use this one. In that admin account, once you use it, there's a log file that captures when you sign into somebody's computer. It tells you that, okay, you've used the admin credentials to sign into somebody's computer. Now we know that Kingsley was the one that signed into that person's computer and did whatever he did. So if you messed up in somebody's computer, you don't think that you're going to run away and be like, oh, I did it. It was not me that did it. All they're going to do, your boss is just going to tell like, oh, don't worry. The next thing you're going to see is like, okay, you can no longer be with us anymore. You don't even know the reason why they fire you, but that's what I'm telling you guys the reason right now why they fire you, because you think that you can sneak into somebody's computer and do something and get away with you. Nah, it's not going to work like that. That's why you have 2 accounts. When you use this admin account or use your regular admin username, it captures it. In everybody's computer, they have what they call a log file. That's for security purposes and for also to know who was the last person that worked on this person's machine. That's how they can tell as well. If you want to go into more details, you can probably go work on somebody's machine and you break something. You'll be like, oh, then you run away and your boss come like, oh, Kingsley, you were the one working yesterday on this machine. What happened? That this person is not able to open Outlook. This person is not able to open Microsoft. What happened? You'll be like, oh, I don't know. I just did this, and I left it the way it was. They're not gonna bother. They're gonna do investigation and find whoever was the last person. If it was not you, you are safe. But if it was you, okay. They might, if it was maybe your 3rd warning or your 2nd warning, or you're just gonna see an email coming to you like, okay, today's your last day. After that, you're done. You sit there at your house figuring out like, okay, what happened that they fired me? You don't even know, but that's the reason why. And if I go into my account right here, my user account, if you look at them, they have different policies. I'm going to open both of them. Let me just double click on them and open them. It's the same way of like doing right click property. You can just double click on it. It's going to do the same thing. But I'm going to open both accounts so you guys can see them. So this one is my admin account right here. Let me put it up here. Let me open the other one too as well, so you guys can see both. All right, this is the other one. I'm gonna put it here. Just bear with me a second. I gotta find the other one. Okay. Okay, so this is both of them right here. So you see this one has, if you look at the titles up here, this one says admin, this one says just Kingsley. All right, let me go into the member of. Member of, that's where you see the groups that I'm involved with. If you go to member of, it's going to tell you the groups. So pay attention to this, all this tab that I'm opening. So member of is telling me that I'm a member of the Hingham Associate, which is just a regular. Everybody has that one. All the first one that you're going to see, they are regular ones. But now, since I'm an IT person, you see they put me a member of computer support, member of clarity support, member of domain users. You just keep going and going forward and on. I don't want to open them. So 365, you see when I opened the other computer the last time, you see how it was the member of 365 and this one's right, these two. That's Office 365. I have a member of Oracle, PC Tech. You just keep going and going and going and going all the way down. These are all policies. If I take off one of these policy, I will lose access to a certain application. So all these policies has to do with what in my company. Like if I remove myself from one of these policies, I lose access to a certain application. That means, let's say for instance, okay, they had Internet Explorer group policy in here. These are all group policies. That's what they call group policies. So if I was a member of Internet Explorer group policy in here, and I remove myself from that Internet Explorer group policy, and I go to open Internet Explorer, it will not open on my computer. Because why? I have removed myself from that policy. That's why they set permissions on computers, that it makes you understand that there are differences. Let me open my other admin one.
Yeah, Kingsley.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, one quick question. So probably, like, who designed those policies? Is this like software engineers or?
It's you.
Oh, okay.
It's we sitting here. I'm saying it's you, that means it's us.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you where that you create those group policies.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So I'm just showing you how the group policies they are in your computer. You see my two accounts. These are all my two accounts. But look at this one, has different group policies in them. I have computer support. I have domain, different kinds, because this is my admin account. It gives me privilege to all applications on the computer, all my accounts, because that's where they give me everything here. And then this one is just my regular employee account. This one. This is my regular employee account. But this one, it gives me access. That means I have if I put in my username and password in any application on the company's network, it's definitely going to work. This is this account right here. All right. If we go now, if you want to make changes on this user's account, you can go to accounts. You see, this is my credential right here. I don't want to show you guys, but I mean, I don't have no choice. But this is my credentials right here. So if they ask me for my username and password, this is the username I'm going to put in. I'm going to put in this username right here. Then the password is what I created. Because when you're first there, you're working on a company, they give you what they call a username and a temporary password. They give you a temporary password which you have to change. That's the reason of that paper that I told you. Like when you're hired at a company, when you come to your desk or your cube, all you're just gonna see is your laptop sitting there, a piece of paper from HR department telling you all policies of the company. Then on another paper, you're gonna see another piece of paper from IT department, which has this login, this username on it, then has a temporary password that we created. We're gonna create you a temporary password. We'll give it to you. But once you log in with that temporary password on your on that machine, it's gonna tell you, please change your password, because we set that here. Let me show you where we set that. So if I want to do a password reset on this account, I can go here. I have to do from here. I can right click on this account right here. I do reset password. So you see, this is where I can reset a user's password. I can reset a user's password. All this thing I'm showing you guys right now is all in Active Directory. This is all Active Directory that we're doing right now. It's not on my main computer, but it's in the Active Directory. So I can change the user's. Yes.
quick question.
Yeah.
So when, let's say you are a domain admin and you're managing Active Directory, I understand that one of the things you're going to be doing is, say a new user gets hired, a new employee gets hired, the person's working in the accounting department, for example. So you are the IT person. You are in charge of purchasing the new employee's hardware.
Yes.
The computer that they're going to be using, you're in charge of. So when the computer comes in, you set it up, install whatever applications that are company recommended, you take care of that. And then you add that machine on the domain using the company's naming convention, right?
Yes.
Now, I believe you've walked the class on how systems are joined to the domain, on how to join machines to the domain.
Yeah.
Do you mind also showing the class how to add individual users to the domain?
Right. That's exactly what I was going to go. I understand your question. So let's go to that, because now I'm showing you, I'm already taking you guys too deep into when we haven't even gotten to adding a user.
Because you got to add the user, and then you also add the user's machine, right?
Yeah, no, the user's machine automatically add if the group policy has already been set with the company.
Yeah. So no, I'm assuming that we don't know about group policies for now, right?
Yeah.
So let's say there is no group policy that is set in place to automatically add that system to the domain, where you have to do it manually from File Explorer to add that system to the domain. Let's say there's no group policy that automatically does that. You do it manually, right? I believe there'll also be a policy in place to add both the user and then add the machine. So my request is that you should also walk us through adding a user.
And a computer as well.
Yes.
Okay, let me do that right now. So first of all, let me tell you something you guys have to understand. Like, you see all this right here? These are not called folders. These are called containers when it comes to Active Directories. But if it's on your regular computer, it's called a folder. But when it comes to a server management, these are called containers. Because in these containers, you also have folders. If I do a drop down on them, you can see they have multiple. You see how they have multiples? They have multiple containers in them because all these containers, they have policies on them. They are called containers because why? We can set policies on these containers. But let me show you how to add a user if it's a new user in a company. You go into Active Directory. First of all, let me drop this down. You go into Active Directory, right? You open this, which is what we're seeing on the left-hand side, the right-hand side of our screen this here. You open this. You go to user objects. You see where it says user objects? You always going to have a container in there that says user objects. You double click on user objects. It's going to open you where we have all the employees of the company. If you look here, these are all employees of the company. You see, I keep going all the way down. You just keep going. We have thousands and thousands of employees. Then we also have something they call a test containers in that employee, just because if we're trying to do something, let's say we're trying to set a policy with the company, right? We can put users in here. First of all, we put users in here to do a test of a policy, a new policy that we're implementing. Let's say we set a new policy. We'll set that policy to be with this user, so we can test them with that. But for you to create a new user, first of all, let's go back to here. Create a new user. You go up here. You see here. You guys can see my screen, right? You see where my cursor is?
Yes, we see.
So you see when I hover over this cursor, it says what did it say? It says create a new user in the current container. That's what I was telling you guys, that these are containers. It does not say create a new user in this folder. It says create a new user in this container, because this is a container. And the reason why it is a container, because why? The container has a policy on it. So it automatically, if I put any user in this container, it's going to assign them the policy that has already been set on that container. So let's say if I have this bottle right here. Okay, let me just take an example of this bottle. This is a container. And I said that, okay, I'll put hand sanitizer in here. I'll put maybe peanut butter oil in here. I'll put maybe water in it, and I close it. And if I take any other person, I put it in here, they're all gonna have that example of this. They're gonna have peanut butter on them. They got peanut butter oil on them. They're gonna have hand sanitizer on them. They're gonna have also water on them. That's exactly what this containers means. This container means that they have policy on them. Now, if you add any user into this container, they're gonna have a certain policy to a certain level without going for that. Are you guys understanding, right? Okay.
Yes.
So to create a user, go ahead.
I was just going to ask that you can add users to multiple containers, correct?
Yes.
So how do you, if you create a user in this container, do you now go to another container and just copy and paste?
No.
Or
Let's say, okay, we go here, we create a user. You can create a group as well, in here as well. Just in here. You have the options right here. You can create a group up here. You can create also another container up here and set policies on that container. So I can go here, I can create a container here, and I put policy on this container that, okay, I want this container to have this certain amount of policies. Then I go in here, I right click on a user that I've already created. Let's say, okay, I already created this user. I'll right click on this user. I go to where it says move. You see move? I can move this user to a certain container. It's going to ask me where I want to move that user to. So I can go here. I put the user into this. I can 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 put the user into trash bin. We have all kinds of containers. Those are all containers that have policy on them. If I put the user into trash bin, automatically the user is... Hold on, let me remove that. I just said something which I'm not supposed to put. You see, the reason why it's giving me this error is just telling me that I have approximately up to 2,000 something people. What was I user again? Let me go back one step. So these are all live event right now. I don't want to mess up something in here because it's gonna mess up my whole company stuff. But I'm just showing you guys how it works. So if you want to move somebody, you can move somebody from there, or you can go to property in them. Let's go to property in a user, okay, right here. You can go where it says member of. That's how you add them now to a policy. You see how they have different policies in here? I can add policy here. If I want to add a policy, let's say, okay, if I want to add them to a certain container. Where did it go? Okay, let me just use mine. Oh, keep moving away. Okay. I can go member of. I don't want to mess up things in here because I might probably get fired for this. Which is not what I want for. Okay. So let's say, for instance, these are the users. I can go to member of. And if I know the policy that I want to add the user to, I can just do add right here. It's going to ask me here. Same way you can put it, you can put a search for username. That's the same way you can do it. I can search, okay, let's say Microsoft. I'm typing on the wrong computer. Pardon me. So I could do Microsoft. Teams. Let me just do Teams because we have a team policy. And I do check. I just want to check the name to make sure it's the right name that I spell. If I do check, you see how it underlines it? You guys remember when I was showing you guys this how to add a user, right? Or to add a user to a policy on a folder. That's the same way. It's going to check the name, make sure that policy is available. If it was not a policy that was available, it's not going to show it up. Let's say if I put, okay, let me cancel this. I just put MS. I do check. It's probably going to show me a bunch of different ones. Now I can pick from there. I can pick which one I want to use. But MS is not Microsoft Teams. So MS is different. It's a whole different application policy on its own, and it's a group policy. That's what they call group policy. So if I close all this, let's go back to Active Directory. So if you go in here, that's how you can create a group policy. That's what they call group policy right here. It says create a new group in this current container. You can filter. You can create a new container as well and set policy on them. Add a selected object to a group you specified. Okay. So these are just adding policies. Let me see. I think I add somebody to this trash bin, which it's not supposed to be in. So you have multiple options up here. You can highlight somebody. You see, you can delete the person from here. You can delete this person's account. If this person is no longer in a part of the company, right? You can go in here. Instead of deleting one by one, we have something they call trash bin, which is a policy that's already been set. This container has a policy on it that if somebody is not part of the company anymore, he goes into trash bin. Trash bin is just a name that they give it to. It doesn't mean that the person they throw the person into trash. Nah, it's just a name that they give to the container, so we can easily identify it to be a testing account or whatever I want to be. So we have Linux objects. We have Linux users. We have Linux group policy testing. We have Linux group objects. Linux group objects simply means those are users that are in there. You see how we have Red Hat. We have Red Hat machines, CentOS, and all whatnot, sudo. We have sudo's machines also. These are people that have admin access. All these groups, if they add you into this group, that means you have admin privileges to work on a Linux machine. That's just simply what it looks like. So these are where they say action too. Action, you can take action to like move somebody, find somebody, delegate a control, refresh the user. Delegate control means that you're giving permission. You're giving access to this person. Okay, I want to be like, okay, I want you, Mr. Jonathan, to have access to this Oracle server, and you can manage all what is on that server and like have full rights and permissions on that server. I can add it to a certain group.
Can you have access to a server when you are not an admin?
No. They have to put it into the admin group, or they put you into an admin container that gives you admin right. That's what they call admin right. Okay. I have to go take a user like this. I have to go to a user right here. I take the user, put them into that that group that gives you the admin rights and privileges for you to be able to access that server. Like you guys saw when I had my account. Let's go back here. If I right click on here, need to find again. Let me find myself. So I do. So this is you finding a user, not a computer. So there's two different. If you want to look for a computer, if you want to look a computer up, you have to change from here. Do just computer. You can look a printer. You can use a share folder. You can look organization unit. They have so many different options in here. That's why they say Active Directory is the key, because this is what controls your company. This is where you set any group policies, you set any rights and permissions, you set anything on a specific group of people. This doesn't just have, it does not do anything with folders. Folders are something that you set on a specific computer. But also in here, I can make that, okay, a printer, if I want to set up printers, if I want to search for printers, let me see, we have, I think it's Xerox. Let's do Xerox 22. All right. So that's a Xerox 22 printer that we have in our company. I can go into this printer. I'll see the people that have access to that printer from there. Just give it a second, it's loading up. Okay. So it's right here. I can go here. It says device settings, configuration, administration. So I can configure this printer. They have different settings in here. They can make the printer change. You can change printer settings. You go to sharings. It says it has all the options, multiple options that you can see. There's port. It tells you what port is connected to. TCP IP port, which we all know what TCP IP port is, right? And we just had a whole game last week or Wednesday, not even. So security, it tells you the people that have. Okay. So it tells you security. This is where you set policies.
You guys are gonna play it all alone.
So it tells you security, like you see everyone, they give everyone prints, I say everyone is allowed to print. You remember when I was showing you guys on a file, right? Same goes here. That's how you set policies. It says here, everyone has access to print, but they cannot manage a printer. They cannot manage documents. They cannot specify permissions. That hasn't been checked yet. If you go into creator, you see they give creator owner manage documents. If you go into I don't know whatever one is this, what is jargons? Your name looks jargon. So they gave the persons also 1, 2, 3 permissions. So the person is allowed to manage document, allowed to manage print, and is also allowed to manage printer. They also have here administrator. Administrator has full right. You see how administrator has full right? This is how it's the same way it goes like when you're setting permission on a folder as well. That's the same thing. You remember when I was showing you guys that you give full access to a folder that, okay, you can print, you can edit the share document, you can edit whatever it is in there. Same goes here. The same concept applies here. I can add another user, I can add myself into this printer. I can do myself. Let's do king, do check name. It's gonna check myself, show me a bunch of my accounts that I have. So we have another king in the company. I don't know who that is, but I know I'm the only king in the company. So these are my accounts that I have. I can choose what accounts that I want to have. The one that has the SS0, that's my admin account. The one that has just a TA3, that's my regular user account. I can tell from the difference because why? I've been using it for a long time. So I can add any of those people in there to this print options and then give him full right or not, because I have the permission to manage Active Directory. And if you're not an admin in the company, you will never have access to all this what I'm showing you guys right now. If you're not an admin manager in the company, you will not have access to all this. You just be like a regular employee that have, all you see is like your icons on your desktop. If you try to download something on your computer, it will not allow you. It will tell like, okay, let me do this. Let me try to install something. I just minimize, close this, and then close this. Go ahead.
Prof, is it possible that at some point today we go into the virtual servers we created and into the services that we've installed on those computers, like this Active Directory? Can we actually try to create the group policy?
I'm showing you all this because I'm showing you in a working environment because it's more easier to show in a working environment. But we're going to go back to my server. Then I'm going to show you guys the same Active Directory that I'm showing you guys right now. You have that, or that's what we did last class. That we installed a row of Active Directory, DNS, and DSCP. Those are all rows. They're called rows, and it's exactly what I'm showing you right now in the working environment. So if I go control panel, let's say, okay, let me move this over here so you guys can see. Let's say I go to control panel, right? I want to do something in here if I was not an admin. Because right now, this is my work computer. This is not my admin account. I'm signed in as my regular employee account. So if I go in here, I want to make a modification on an application. If I click here, I do change. It's going to come up with this screen. I don't know if you guys see it. The reason why my screen went black is because it came up with an admin screen that is asking me to put in my username and password to make changes to that account. Let me do a snip. I'm going to do a snipping tool so you guys can see how it looks like. So if I click on this, do change. It's not going to show. I'll take a screenshot of it. Let me just take a picture. Okay. So let me cancel that. Let's close out of this. All right. Back to Active Directory. So if you guys can see my screen, right? Let me take out a blurry background. All right. So you guys see you see this, right? Can you guys all see this? It's kind of like that's the reason why my screen went black, because it showed me the screen for me to input my username and password. The username that is asking for now is asking for my admin account, not my regular employee account, because my regular employee account doesn't have admin rights. But I have and that's why I have 2 accounts, which means it's simply showing me this one. Let's go back to find. I'm not even typing in there. All right. So the reason why it's asking for this and these credentials of this account, not this one, because this one is my regular employee account. This one is my admin account. That's what it's asking for. So it's asking for that SS0, which is what I'll let me show you guys. My SS0 is my admin account. So it's asking for the username is going to be, if I go to accounts, excuse me. So the username is going to be this. That's going to be the username. Where it says you input your username, I'm just going to put in this bunch of characters and numbers. And then also I put in the password that I created for that account. And then in here also, you can also, you see how mine says never? This is how you know this is a full-time employee or you know a contractor. You can tell if somebody's a contractor in the company. Here, they're going to click, they're going to highlight this one that has an end date. Then they're going to tell you when the end date is. That means that employee has an end date to set a certain time. That means the employee is working for this company. Let's say his end date was probably next month, March. Let's say March 15. You're gonna see here they're gonna highlight this one down here that says end date. Then you're gonna be here ending date March 15. That's the user's end date. After that March 15, automatically that user's account's locked up. If they want to extend it, they have to contact you as an admin. You're going to come in here, extend the date for that user's account, the specific user. You're going to come to the user account, extend the date. And this is where you can also make changes in user password. You can set here, user must change their password at next login. This is what I was showing you guys. Like if you create a user account, you can come into the user's accounts policies, click this one, then you do apply. That means when the user log into that machine with a temporary password that you've given them, now when they log in, it's going to come up with a screen that says set a new password. All right, guys, we're going to take a break in the next couple of minutes. So, I mean, this is a lot of information to process. Let's just take a little break so we can process this one, and we'll continue from there.
Yep, need that break. I was already on it. Thank you, Kinsley.
All right, I'm going to set a timer, 12 minutes. Let's do 12 minutes today because this is a whole lot to digest. All right, let me stop sharing. Yeah. And I'm going to set a timer on my machine here. Let's do. Okay. All right. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Mr. Jared.
Yes,
sorry, I know we're on break, but I just want to ask the question.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it possible for 2 devices to have the same MAC address? Or
No.
it can never happen?
Can never happen.
Oh, okay.
Because the MAC address is hard coded onto the NIC of the machine. So if you want to change your MAC address, you are removing the NIC of that machine, and two NICs will never come with the same MAC address. Never.
Okay.
MAC is unique.
Okay. And then when it comes to the ports, because when I was studying, they said the switches, they understand MAC, they can read MAC addresses.
Yes.
So instead of like the repeaters they had before that just takes the signal and it comes out from all the ports, with switches, it goes directly to one port and that port can send a message to the actual port that the signal is going to come from. So why does the signal, why does it go to one port before it can get to the actual port of where the signal is supposed to come from? Why does it not just go like you're going, you want to, you're browsing and the browser is requesting some information from say the port 880. Why does it not just go straight to the port 80 to get the information? Why does it have to hit one port and then that port will take it to the port 80 to get that information?
Okay, the thing with switches, you need to understand how switches communicate, right? So the reason why they say a switch is smart and a hub is not smart, a hub is a dumb switch, a switch is a smart hub, is because switches actually have some type of operating system in them. And the way switches will communicate is that first of all, they have a database in them that stores information. It captures MAC addresses for all the communication or all the machines that the switch has communicated with. So for example, if I want to send a message to you, Faith, you and I and Oa and Jarvis and the other people, all of us in TechSpace who are in the TechSpace network, I'm sending a message to you and it's going through the switch. The switch is not really going to know, for the very first time, it's not going to know your machine. It's going to know your IP and all that, but it's not really going to know your machine. So for the first time, what the switch will do is it's going to send out a broadcast. A broadcast is going to be like, I have this message that I want to send to Faith, but I don't really know where Faith is on this network. I know Faith is using one of these machines. I can't really identify Faith's machine. So the broadcast will be sent to all machines to the network. And then your machine will, all the machines will receive the broadcast. And the machine that the message is going to will respond, will identify that, okay, that message is from me. And then it's going to respond. Once that response comes, the switch is going to take it and put it in that database and say, okay, this is exactly where Faith is on the network. This is Faith's MAC address. This is the port to reach Faith, and all the information about you. The switch is just going to put it in the database. That's it. So subsequently, if you and I need to communicate, then the switch knows exactly where you are on the network. It doesn't need to send another broadcast. Similarly, if you need to communicate with another person going through the switch, it does the same thing. So that's why if you log into a switch, you're gonna find this ton of databases with all this information of routing traffic between different systems that the switch is stored in there. So that's why they are smart to know that, okay, this message is going to this person. If I'm sending this message to this person, it throws the broadcast and then it goes to that person. So that's why they are very smart, especially when they are working within a local area network. So once that information is cached, that is it. The switch will just keep doing its thing.
Okay.
But for the very first communication, it will be slow because the switch is trying to find the exact MAC address for that machine. So it's gonna send out a broadcast until that machine responds before the switch can store that information in the database and then communicate with that machine.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, one last question, Mr. Chair. Sorry.
No
I know
problem.
two machines can have the same IP address, but can two machines have the same default gateway address?
No.
Because
if
okay.
If you're in a local area network, your LAN must have every machine in the LAN will use the same default gateway to communicate out of that LAN. And the default gateway is the IP address of the router. Unless you have two routers in that network, then I would say you have two default gateways, because the router itself is a device in that network, right? So it needs its own IP. And that IP of that router is the default gateway to go out of that network. So if you have two routers in your network, sure, you have two default gateways. If the other router is also configured to route traffic out of the network. But usually every LAN will use one default gateway, unless, like I said, you have two routers and you want to use the other router's default gateway as well, then that is possible to have two different default gateways. But if you're asking if personal computers have different default gateways, no, they'll all have the same default gateways in a LAN if there's one router they're using.
Yeah, but when I was going through the class video of installing the Win server, while Mr. Kingsley was changing his IP address, I saw that his default gateway is same default gateway as mine, because his IP address his IP address was 10.0.0.119, and his default gateway is 10.0.0.1. My own IP address.
Wait, one second.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Faith.
Okay, so I said Kingsley's IP address was 10.0.0.119, and his default gateway is 10.0.0.1. My own IP address is different from his, which is 10.0.0.177. But my default gateway is the same as his, which is 10.0.0.1. So what I'm saying is that my default gateway is the same as his default gateway, which is 10.0.0.1.
Yes, you guys are not on the same LAN.
That's what I was asking. That's what I was asking, that can two devices have the same default
you remember what we talked about, network address translation, right? And we said devices in the local area network have, let's go back to IP addresses. Remember, we have internal IPs and external IPs.
Yeah.
You and I can have the same internal IPs, my IP of my any internal system in my internal network would also be the same as IPs you also have at home. So I can have an IP address in my internal network. You can also have the same IP address in your internal network.
Oh.
But for our two networks to communicate, we'll be using our external IPs, which will never be the same.
Okay.
You understand? So because your default gateway has that IP address, and he's also got the same IP address. They are both internal IPs, so it doesn't matter. Okay. If your network wants to communicate with this network, any traffic going through your default gateway is still gonna hit your network address translation. It's still gonna hit NAT, and then NAT translates the public, your local IP, your external IP to your external IP before any communication is done out of your network. So even though you and I or you and Kingsley might have the same default gateway, it is still an internal address. So there is no conflict. It doesn't matter. It's still going to work fine. It is only when you're going out of your network that it hits network address translation, gets translated to your external IP, then you guys can communicate.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Smart questions, though. It shows that you have been studying.
I'm trying. It's not been easy, but I'm trying. The last time I got out of class, I just got a call from the hospital. So that's why I got out of class the last time. So it's not been easy, but
I know.
Just keep praying.
Just keep praying, keep fighting, stay positive.
Yeah.
I believe everything's gonna be okay. I can't believe Kingsley didn't stop the recording. Oh my God.
Oh.
No, but those questions were very useful. So
I paused it.
I'm glad.
I paused the recording. I did not stop.
It says recording. It didn't pause. It's been recording all through.
No, it says resume. It's telling me resume recording.
Oh, really? Okay, we'll find out at the end.
Anyway, I mean, it's still the same. It's all good cause.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's come back now back to the business.
Is everyone back? Where is Mr. Jude?
Yeah, Gerard, I'm going to be stepping out, but I'll be listening from my phone. So maybe if you ask me any question and I'm unable to reply.
Everyone is back. That's nice. Yeah, so before Jonathan jumps off, I just want to correct an error I made. At the start, when I was explaining hypervisors, I did flip type 1 and type 2 hypervisors when I was answering Faith's question in the beginning, start of the class. So I did say type 2 hypervisors are what you're going to find at work, but that's rather type 1 hypervisors, which are bare metal hypervisors. So that is an error I made. I just want to correct that real quick. So remember I told you there are two types of hypervisors, type 1 hypervisors and type 2 hypervisors. So type 1 hypervisors are bare metal hypervisors, and type 2 hypervisors are hosted hypervisors or operating system hypervisors. So type 1 hypervisor simply mean that you install the hypervisor on the bare metal. That's why they are called bare metal hypervisor. You install the hypervisor on the system as the operating system. For example, VMware, EXSI 6.5, EXSI 6.7, Hyper-V, all those other KVM, Citrix Zen, those are type 1 hypervisors. Those are hypervisors that you're going to come across at work. Type 2 hypervisors are application-based. For example, you install Oracle VirtualBox, you install VMware Workstation Player. Those are all type 2 hypervisors. So I just wanted to correct that. Let's not flip them.
How do you mean by saying that you install them directly on the system?
So you have the hardware, like the server machine itself, the physical machine, right? You know the way you install Windows 10 on a machine. You can have the Windows 10 operating system on a thumb drive. You can have it on a CD, and you insert the CD on the machine, and then it installs the Windows 10 operating system. It's the same. You're going to have the hypervisor on a CD. We have the hypervisor software in a thumb drive that you insert in the machine, and it's going to install the hypervisor like you are installing an operating system. So the type 1 hypervisor is going to be the operating system.
Okay, so there's no operating system on the machine.
Yes,
so
that is
just
exactly. Okay. That's why it's called bare metal. You install it directly, like an operating system on the system.
And those are the ones you said companies, enterprises, they use.
Exactly. So at interviews, they'll ask you if you've ever used VMware. So that's what you'll be saying. Yes. Don't say you've used. Don't say VirtualBox. Don't say VMware Player. You know, these are application-based hypervisors that we are using for this course because we can afford. We cannot afford VMware. It's going to cost us maybe $3,000. And if I tell you, hey, you guys go spend another $3K to get VMware software, it's going to be like, I'm out of the class, right? This class is not for me. So, so let's do what we can afford.
Okay.
And then the second thing I'm going to talk about is Kingsley at some point did mention about logs, right? That anything you do at work is tracked. If you go do something somewhere and you're like, hey, I'm not the one who did this, they're just gonna go to the logs and they'll be able to look at the logs to find out who did what at what time. So one thing you should know is that anything you do on your computer is being captured in the form of logs. So logs are like a real-time capture of everything that happens on your machine. So if an application is failing, for example, there's going to be a log file that will collect that information and save. You know, if your machine is under threat, there's going to be a log file that also collects that information. If a hacker hacks your system, the system is going to save that information. Who accessed that machine at what time and what the person was doing. So they say a hacker's worst enemy is logs. Once a hacker hacks a machine, the first thing they are going for is the log file to delete it so that they can remove their traces.
So you cannot pick up the footstep.
Yes, so logs are very important. And at work, if you want to troubleshoot a system, why a system is not functioning well, the first place you want to go is start checking your log files. What are the logs saying? Because if you go to your boss and say, I've done this, I've checked this, everything is working fine, but I don't know why I'm still having this error. The first thing they're gonna ask you is, what are the logs saying?
Have you checked your log files?
Did you check your log files? So I think Kingsley should just take a moment, go to Event Viewer and show us how to access logs at work. If you go to Event Viewer, that's how you access your logs. Even on your local machine, it's gonna take you to your logs. And you see the custom views, the Windows logs, application logs, all that. That's how you see your logs. If you click there, it's gonna give you more information.
Please check if the recording has resumed.
Yeah, yes. So this is where you can see your event logs and everything, like subscription, that one. So applications, you can go view. It shows you everything in here. Custom viewer. This is where you can check your event. You just go to event log, you can see from there. But let's go back to Active Directory so I can show you guys how to create a user. So this is my virtual machine right here, the one that we've introduced to the domain. As Jarvis was asking earlier, I'll show you how to create a user. So you go to users, see the users container, and you can also check if you have any computer that joins your domain, right? This is where you see it. If you double click here, I don't have any computer in here because there's no computer that have joined this domain yet. So if any computer joins this domain, this is where the computer is going to show up in here. And let's go back to users. So these are some of the users, the user groups. You see the ones that comes out too? Those are groups. Those are not users. The one that is single, that's a user. So you can tell the difference in here. Like if you see in here, these are all groups. Group policies that comes automatically. You have the domain controller group policy that comes automatically with the machine right there. Guess you have key admins. You can put users. These ones are group policies that were made by Active Directory automatically. You can always create your own group. I can always create a group right here. You see, I can put a group name, let's say admins. Right there. I can make they say group scope. You can put domain code local. You can put global. You can put universal. You can put group type. You can put security. You can put distribution group. So you can choose anyone. Let's just do. I don't want to even. Let me not create a group right now. Let's create a user. So create a user. I can create a user right here. You go. You put the user's first name. That's how when this is a working environment that we're working right now. But this is my virtual machine. It's not my work machine. But this is how you're gonna do if they say, okay, your boss say, okay, we have Mr. Dan Smith joining the company next week. We want you to create a user account and set up a machine for the user. This is what you're gonna do. You go into Active Directory, you put Dan, first name, Dan, initials. I mean, it's not really that important. You can put last name, Smith. You see how it's filling up on the bottom? It's filling down here in the bottom. If you have a middle initial, you can put a middle initial, maybe green. You can put G. You see how it's filling down here? It's giving the user's name. Then you can set a user logon name. If you click on here, user's logon name with my company, which makes everything easy, is going to be your first name dot last name. So I'm doing last name mistake. So it's going to be Dan dot Smith. You see how it fills the domain name at the end? This is, you guys remember when I was telling you guys about my email address? When I was telling you my work email address has my first name dot my last name, then it has the domain at the end. That's exactly what it's going to do. So Dan Smith's email address is going to be dan.smith@king.com. That's going to be his email address. That's exactly what it's going to look like. So you do next. It's going to tell you to create a temporary password. Then this is where you can decide if the user should change their password once they log in with that temporary password on the machine, or you can set here password never expires. That means it's a full-time employee. Or you can set accounts disabled. You can choose user cannot change password. So you can always make those changes in here. I can always uncheck this one because I want to say password never expire. I'm not creating a full-time user. I'm just creating a temporary user right now. It says user cannot change password. So if I set any password here, that user will never able to change that password. But I can take off this and put this on. This is the one that you always want to use, this one. Make sure the users always change their password once they get their machine and they get that piece of paper that you give to them. Because when you're creating this account, you have to write the user's account name on the piece of paper. You write the password that you create for the user on the piece of paper as well. It's a brochure. It's a brochure that you give to the user from the IT department, and also HR is going to give them a brochure as well. But your own brochure, this is what they're looking for on there. Because if they don't have your brochure, they can never log on that machine. And they cannot do anything that HR requires them to do. And then the problem is going to come back to you. HR is going to ask you like, okay, what happened? Why is this user still pending? He's supposed to start working ASAP, like now. So that's exactly what, now all the problem is going to come back to you because you did not do your job. So when you create the user account, create the password, you always want to check this one that says users must change password at the next login. Next login means that when they get that piece of paper and they're about to log in on their computer, they're going to put that temporary password first. Then after that, a screen is going to come up like, please change your password. It's going to say old password. Old password is going to be the password that you gave them, the temporary password. A new password is going to be the password that they decide that they want it to be. Reason is for your own security as well, because you are the one that created that account. They don't want to be working tomorrow using that same temporary password that you gave them. Then something happened on the machine tomorrow. They're going to come for you like, oh, you gave us this password, but the password, we were not able to change our password because you set a policy when you were creating the account that users are not able to change their password. So the problem is going to come back to you. You don't always want things to come back to you. When it comes to an IT field, you got to be very, very, very cautious at what you do things. Make sure you check the right thing. You do the right steps. So that's how you create an account. And when you create a user account, like Mr. Jarvis was saying, like in here, I only have one account, which is admin. Let me just create one so you guys can see. I'm gonna do, let's just do Dan. As I've already started with Dan Smith, I'll put middle initial G, which is green. Let's just say green or something. Last name Smith. All right. Email address. It's gonna be Dan.Smith at king.com. That's gonna be the email address. So do next password. I can just create a temporary password.
King, excuse me, is that the email address or king name?
Huh?
I mean, was that the username or the email address? King.com.
That's the domain. Like you see here, the domain has already been picked out for you. If you had multiple domain, like my company has, like you remember I showed you guys the domain controller, and I show you a bunch of domains that they have 2 in New York, 2 in Lakeview, 2 in Hingham, and whatnot. Yeah. So if you guys had multiple domain, when you come here, you can click here, choose a different domain. But now I have just one domain controller. So that's the only one that's in here. But if your company has multiple domain controller, you can decide what domain controller you want to put the user on. Let's say you guys have an outside domain controller. You can pick out the outside. If it was just a temporary user that is working for a different branch company that you guys is affiliated to you guys. Like, you know, companies today, they have affiliated companies that are affiliated to them. Even though it's not their main company, but they have like sub company that they bought it, but they still keep the same setup. They might still have their own domain, but the only thing is that they're going to introduce a domain to theirs, which is a whole different concept you guys are going to get to. But you can always choose multiple domains down here. But this one has already been picked up for me because that's the only domain I have on my network. So to create the user's email account, it says user's login name. Login name is your email address. This is the email address they're going to use on Outlook. Any email address, if they ask them for their work email address, this is going to be their work email address. So the reason why I use the first name, the last name, because that's how I use it in my company. But some people can always, some other companies, you can do first name dot last initial. It depends on how the company is set up. That all depends on the company. It's not a composition that it has to be first name dot last name. Like another company that we purchased, this company that was called Coldwater. We purchased the company. My user account there, my admin account there was my first name dot my initials, my last initial of my last name, which is N. So it was just Kingsley.N at coldwater.com because the Coldwater now is their domain name. Same now here, if I wanted to do it, I could put this, I could decide that, okay, I want this username to be just Dan. I could do Dan.S. That would be the username. It can still be just Dan. It depends how the company is set up, but you have to go by the company policies because if a company says, okay, we want every user's account to be their first name or their last name at the domain name, which is very easy, that's how the company wants it to go. Some companies might be like, okay, we want it to be just your first initial dot your last name. So it could be just D.Smith. That's how it works. So it just all depends by what policies that the company has set. But this is my own little local company that I'm setting up right now. So I'm trying to create my own users out of the blue. So we'll do Smith right there. That's a name. And then you go next.
Sorry, Kingsley.
Yes.
So I'm trying to follow you step for step on my other computer, but I'm at ADDS, but I don't know where to add a new user. There are so many stuffs here.
So let me cancel right here.
And it also says error.
You go to user. When you click, let me close everything completely. All right.
Yeah.
I close everything completely. This is ADDS right here.
Yes.
I double click on it. Or I can go here to tools. Go to tools. Go to tools. Okay. Come down here where it says Active Directory users and computers. Click on that. It's gonna load up right there. You see how I load up with the Active Directory? This was the same Active Directory I was showing you guys at my job. The same thing right here. Same concept, same everything.
But mine doesn't have anything like users though. It just has, it loaded it up and only has saved queries and classofFebruary.com, which is my domain name.
Yes, you see how it has this arrow here? See, this is how it looks, right?
Yes.
So click on this arrow. There's an arrow next to where it says class of 2018 or 2019 or 2020.com.
Okay.
Drop down. It has a drop down menu. You see it now?
And then users.
There you go to click on user now. Click on users because that's where you want to create an account. You want everybody to stay in one place. I can always make another container down here by creating another. I can create another folder or a container right here. That's how you can create a container of services. Container is right here. You can create a container in here, but I can create another folder down here in this. I can go here, do new. I could do new group, new contact, new computer, new new users, new printers, new share folders, new organization unit. Organization unit, that means that's a container that you want to create. So if I do OS, right here, it's going to ask me for the OS name. I can put users admin. So any person that has admin credential, this is where I'm going to create the user account in. So it says protect container from accident deletion. You always want to check that because you don't want someone to go into accident and delete the container, except you're the admin. But you always want to be mindful of this. You don't want to do it as well. Because if you do it, you will not be able as well to delete the container. So you always want to uncheck this one. Wrongful information. Always want to uncheck that protection. Because
yes, can you go back again to how you create those computers? I'm sorry, I missed it a little bit.
Not the computers. I'm creating a
container.
So to create a container, you can just right click on this your domain name, because you're trying to create another container in here in your domain name. So if it's like this, right? If I want to create a container in here, which is this one, because if I highlight on this one, it's going to show me empty. If I highlight on this one, it's going to show me this. You can also go in here, create the container from here. You see, you have all the menus up here. If you don't know something, you just put your cursor on it. It's going to say up one level, or you can create a container in here, or you can right click in there, do new. It shows you what you want to create. You can create a contact group. You can create a computer group, which already have computers in there. You can create another user group in there. That's what we want to create. We want to create another users group. So I click on user group. That's just, sorry, it's a user instead of user group. So if I right click in here, new. We want to create, that's a group. No, we don't want to create a group. Organization unit, sorry, right there. Because you're creating a container. So it's an organization unit. They call it OU. In a work environment, you call it OU. You don't go to tell people that, oh, I want to create an organization unit. They look at this one like, where are you coming from? So you go on the organization unit, you click on it. It's going to show you, if you want to create the folder name, we're just doing user admins, because that's why I want to put all my admin accounts. User admins, just to make it easy for somebody else. That if somebody walks in there, the person will know. Then you want to uncheck this protection, because if you leave it checked and you click next and you finish, when you're done creating the folder, you will not be able to delete the folder. Somebody else is going to be able to delete the folder, except it's a folder that you guys perfectly know that you want to leave that folder in there forever. Nobody's ever going to delete that folder. But if it's a testing folder, you guys are trying to create a group policies, then you want to create like a testing folder to like put users in there to see if that policy works or not. So you create a testing folder. You always want to uncheck this. But I'm going to uncheck it for now because I want to delete it at the end of the day. So I'm going to do OK. Now I have user admin in here. So you see how it has created. And I can create folders in here as well. I can go in there, create a folder. Go to new. I can create computers in here. I can create groups in here. I can create printers. You're going to put the printer name, the network printer name, but we don't have any network printer name. But now let me create user in this admin group. So now that I'm highlighted on this admin group right here, there's nothing inside. Let me add a user. Let me create a new user in that group. I'm going to go here where it says create a new user in the current container. Current container means where I have highlighted it to be. So I click create a new user. And also you can create a new group as well. And you can create another container within a container. You can search, you can search object in Active Directory domain services. That's just services that you want to set. But let's create a user first. I want to create a group. So create a user. The name was done. Middle initial, I just want to put G. I don't know what middle initial he has, but let's just go with something. I'm just creating something off my head. So Smith. Let me stick with my Dan Smith because he used to be my famous boss, my favorite boss. He left the company though, start his own business. So then dot Smith. I just decided email address to be like that. The email address I was telling you guys, it can be anything. It can be first initial dot last name. It can be first name dot last initial. It can be both names joined together or a hyphen. Because if somebody else get married with a company, let's say somebody joined a company when the person was still single. There at some point, the person got married. Now the last name has to change. Now you're gonna come in here in Active Directory, delete that user's old account that has his single name, and then create now another account for that user that has now the new last name from his husband or no, from her husband or whatever, whoever it is. That's how you gotta do it. Now you see how I picked out the domain automatically. I did not choose the domain because I only have one domain on this server. It picks it out automatically. If I had multiple domains, I can come in here, click, choose different domains down here, and be like, okay, I don't want it to be kingsley.com. I want it to be the other domain name, maybe kingsley.edu or maybe boston.com or something like that. Anything. You can choose that from there. You do next, it's going to ask you for the password. One second, guys. Just gotta, okay, that's better. I don't want people to get distracted. All right, let's go back to the virtual machine. So we are in here in as users admin. We'll go in here to create the user account. Create a user here, you can create a group here. Let's create a user account first. So it was then G Smith. All right, you see how you already give the user full name? That's the full name. It's going by what you're fitting in. So you give the user full name automatically. So now the email address, you can just decide to copy this one. You just copy all this and put it as a phone, as an email address as well. Yeah, it might not work, but it requires you to put it manually. They don't want you to make mistakes. So you cannot copy and paste. So you do Dan Smith right there. The domain is right there. I do next. Now it's asking me to create the user's password. I use this user that I'm creating. I gotta create a password for them. So when they log in, that's the password they're gonna use. So we type the password. Then now you always want to check this one. If it's a full-time employee that you guys are hiring, or let's say it's a temp employee. If it's a temp employee, you don't have to check this one. If it's a full-time employee, you could just check this one. That password never expire. It's gonna give you an error message, a message like this. It's letting you know that if you're doing this, that means the user's password is never gonna expire. Then you also want to always check this one as well, because the user has to change their password when they log the next login. So you want to check that one. It won't let you change it. It won't let you check it because why? The user's password is already you've set it to be password never expire. But if you don't want it to be password never expire, you can make it. The users can change their password afterwards. You can go into the Active Directory and make them password never expire. So now we'll choose this one for now, and we'll go next. You see, it's going to give you all the information. So you click finish to the following object we're creating. So it's just telling you that, okay, the user's full name is Dan G. Smith. The user login information is going to be dan.smith@kingsley.com, which is the domain name. So this user must change their password in the next login. That's just all the stuff that you just did previously. It's just letting you know for description. We'll do finish. Now we have a user in there that's been created. If you want to set a policy, yes.
Can you pause a few seconds because you're going fast, and I don't know if I'm the only one trying to go as we are going, and I'm missing stuff.
That's okay. You can always stop me at any point.
Then that's why you can go ahead.
No, you can stop. You can stop me at any point.
So I'm trying to I'm trying to create that account right now as you're going, and so that if I face any issues, I can ask right now instead of waiting till Wednesday or tomorrow.
Right.
So you can just give it like 2 minutes. I promise my computer is fast today.
All right, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
I'm as well doing it, so you're not alone.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him. That he's not the only one. You guys always ask me question anytime. Let me know when you guys are here with the same spot where I am.
Bismarck, are you following? Mr. Bismarck.
I can see multiple screen. Let me see if I'm gonna put users up here.
Are you with us, Bismarck?
Yeah.
Mr. Bismarck is within us.
Yes.
Are you with us?
It's just that,
within us?
It's just that Mr. Kingsley is not saying that it's group policy to decide certain things that they do. He's just going to think like as though it is a worker who is doing what he decides.
No, you're not a worker that's doing what he decides. We'll show you how to create an account first of all. You're creating a user for the company. Let's say a new employee. We just create a new employee right now. That's what we just did. Then the next step I'm going to show you is assign that user to a specific group policy. That's what I was going to go next before Mr. Ola interrupted me.
So okay, Bismarck, everything we are doing here is what an Active Directory admin at work
do at their work
is supposed to do.
Right.
So forget about a normal user right now. Everything you're doing right now is what an admin does at work. So picture yourself as an admin at work. This is what you're gonna be doing. So
now we just create a user, but that user does not have any policy. That's what I was going to show you next before Mr. Ola interrupted me. But let me show you, if I show you, let me make you understand that this user has no policy. If we go to properties of this user account, right? We'll go to member of. The only one that he's going to be assigned to is the domain user because he is a part of that domain. That's why I showed you guys in my work environment. You guys saw my work environment 1. It was telling you guys that I was a member of this domain. That's the only policy that he's involved in because he was created as a user of that domain. So that's the only one that's going to be in. So now this is where you can add the user to a group policy. Let's say if the user was a member of my HR department, you can go in here if you want to add a policy, but now we don't have any policies. I can go in here, add a policy. I can search a policy that I have already, or I can create one. So to create a group policy, we'll go back here. Let me close this out. We can go in here. It says domain controller. These are just my domain controller. It's going to be just one, which is my Windows server. But at my job, I showed you guys multiple. Let's see right here. Domain controller users, username, computers, no. All right, I can go here, do new.
Where is that? What do you go to?
I just right click in here, like anywhere in here. I was like highlighted. This one is highlighted. See where it's highlighted right here. My main domain controller is highlighted. I can create a new group in here that says group policies. Go in here, can create a group. Or I can create a container that holds all my group policies. So let me create one container. I'll just call it, let's call it GP, full meaning for group policies. I just put GP, do okay. So now we have another one that says GP. We click in this container right here, and we can create a group. That's how you set policies. You create a group. Well, let's call this group HR or IT department. IT space GPT, just department. All right. You can make them domain controller, universal, distribution, or security. Okay, let's do security. Do okay. So right there.
Excuse me, please. All this, what do this this group scope? What do they and group type? What do they actually mean?
This one?
Yes. No, I mean like on the if you go back to the interface where you're actually entering the group name, like where you put IT DPT. Like
this is just called this is what we talk about filing system. It's called a filing system. All this on the left hand side is a filing system. So
I think I mean
just like
when you go to like when you're creating a new group, if you go back when you're creating a new group, there's something, there's group scope, there is domain local, there is global, and there's universal. Yes, so I just want to understand what it means when you put the group under specific.
So distribution simply means that that's a group, the group type. It's a distribution group. That means you're trying to create a user that can be in a distribution group where they can share informations. Security can be people that they just manage all securities and stuff. But group, what is it, distribution? Like it can be an HR department. That means these people can be, if you add them to that distribution group, they are members that can share files, share folders and stuff. They can do all what they want not. But security has to do with people that like the manages like the back end of stuff. IT department, yes. You want to add IT department to that kind of group. You want to add ISPN to security group type. They are all people that deals with security and managing the company back end. But if it's a regular user, you want to put a regular user in a distribution group. Then a group scope, you want to put them universal. Universal means simply just mean that they are a member of everybody. That means you want to give them a policy of everybody. Domain local. That means it's going to be somebody that manages the domain controller. Global means, I mean, they can join from anywhere. If they go to a different, let's say they go to the New York office or they're in Massachusetts or they go to Sweden office, they're going to follow the group policy of that domain controller that's there. It's going to match exactly with the machine. That's why you put it global. Global means that they can go to any office. They're working from any office. It's still going to go with the same settings. The settings are not going to change that you set up. Understood?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So now that we've created the group policy, let's see, right here, paste, property, refresh.
Quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
So the ITDPT that you created, is that just, which one of them did you use to create that? I can see, I know it's not an OU. So what exactly is that one? Is that just
that's a group?
So just regular group policy inside GP?
Okay. Yes. So this is where I'm assigning all my group policies to stay in this GP right here.
Okay.
So GP is just where I'm setting all group policies. That means if I want to assign a member right now. So let's say we'll create this user right here. I want to make Dan Smith a member of that ITGP group, since Dan Smith is a member of the IT department, right? And that IT group already have policies. So you go in here, you right click on Dan Smith, do properties, go to member of, right? Dan Smith is only member of one. So you can add right now. I'll go IT GPT and I do check. See how it showed up? You can just do IT, do check, then I do okay. Now, Dan Smith is a member of that group. I don't have to go into Dan Smith's account. Let me do apply. Okay. If I go now to GP right here, I double click on this and open it. It seems like using properties. If I go to members, it's going to show me the member that are part of this group. If I go member of, no member of. If I go to members, Dan Smith is part of members. Member of means that I'm trying to make this group policy become a member of another group policy. That's what it means by member of. The members is showing you people that are involved in here. So if we go in here, we'll create another user again. Let's create another, let me create another group. I'm just going to create a group in here instead of a user. So let me say the group name is let's say like what other branches have on IT. We have SDR, which means service desk representatives. That's the front level, the people that are the front line, the frontline armies, like the new recruits. We put them on the front line. So they are the ones that receive all the bullets before the bullets gets to us. So those are the frontline army. We have a new group in there, which is the frontline army. I can make them just a domain controller. I can make them a global as well. Put them distribution or security. Let's leave them to security, or let's make it distribution this time. We'll do okay. So now SDR is in here as well. And I can make SDR member of that same IT department group. So if I go here, I do member of, instead of members, There's no member in the IT department, but I can do member of. I add member here, IT, search, IT DPT comes up. I do okay. Now, SDR now is a member of IT department. And I can also add Dan Smith. If Dan Smith was a frontline army, I can add him to this SDR group by adding the member in here. So member, I'll put Dan. Since that's the only user we have in my system, check. His full email address is going to pop up. When you see, if it comes out with that line underneath like that, that means that is a current, it's a user in the machine. If this user was not part of this machine, or the user was not part of that, it was not, if there was no user that was created with that name, you're going to get an error message. It's going to tell that this user does not exist. That's exactly what you're going to get. So we're going to do now, okay. Dan Smith now is a part of do apply. So if I go now into SDR, or if I go to Dan Smith, let's open Dan Smith right here. Let's go member of. We'll see where Dan Smith belongs. Go to member of. Dan Smith is part of IT department and also part of SDR. But I did not come into Dan Smith's account and do all this from there. I can also do from there as well, but I can also do from the group as well if I know the user I want to add. So you have multiple ways of doing it. I can come in here, remove SDR from Dan Smith's account. Just click on the account that you want to remove. Do remove. It's going to ask you that, just a warning message. Yes. Apply. Okay. If you go now back into SDR, we do members. You're not going to see Dan Smith in there. He's gone. And I can add him from here, or I can go back by the user. So you can go here, it says manage by. You can set who can manage this account. You can put an admin or whoever you want to set. General is just settings. You see where we set the global and the stuff. You can see come here and change it from here again as well. I can change it back to security, or I can change it back to global. Apply. Okay. Let's go back now to group policies. Let's see. I like this one. When you highlight it, it gives you more options. So you can delegate controls. So you can add delegated controls. Same thing that always happens. It comes up with that screen for you to add delegated control. IT. Let's do IT. King is added. You see, it gives me a whole full complete name of it. It gives you the domain name involved with it as well, because it's telling you that IT is part of this domain. That's just simply what it's telling you, that IT department is part of Kingsley domain. That's simply what it means in there. And in Linux, you guys are going to understand this. I'm teaching you guys now the Windows side of it, because you guys in Linux is going to be different. Linux, you're going to be dealing with command line. And what you're writing on a command is like you speaking out like I'm talking right now. Like, I am this. But in the command line, we read opposite. So that's why I'm reading. I'm able to understand this because why? I'm used to with Linux commands. So I'm only able to understand this. This is a command in Windows because we deal with mouse and clicking. But when it comes to Linux, you deal with your keyboard. Linux, you're going to be dealing with your keyboard frequently more than your mouse. Your keyboard is going to be your best friend than your mouse. But when it comes to Windows side of system administration, your mouse is one of your best friend and your keyboard as well. But the mouse is the one that takes you everywhere to like bring you all the time because you deal with the GUI images. But Linux systems, it has GUI. But for it to be faster, you want to use the command line, which is way, way, way more sweeter when you get involved into it.
Yeah, that's why they say Windows is easier because you can use the mouse.
You just click.
You know, so you want to make sure you become very comfortable with Windows, because if you have trouble with Windows, then you're gonna have a tough time with Linux. Since we're just gonna be dealing with commands and we're never gonna use the mouse for anything. So let's make sure we really, really pay attention and get very, very comfortable with Windows. So when we come to Linux, it's just gonna be easy. We're gonna be doing the same thing, but using the command. Command line, sorry.
So what I'm doing right now here, I'm setting a delegation on that account for people to be able to, like, who I want the people to be part of this account. I can add SDR here too as well. You see how I came up with this? That means I did not spell it well.
can I take you back a little bit, please?
Yeah.
If we're going back to group policies on SDR, I mean, I tried to add Dan. I actually added Dan to it, but when I go into to Dan and I check his properties member of, I can see that he's in SDR. I only see the IT department to which I've added him to.
That means you haven't added him to SDR, right?
But when I go to SDR, I see that he's there.
All right, let me do it with my end. So you said you went to SDR right here, right?
Yeah.
You went to members, right?
Yes.
You add Dan Smith here. Let's do then check right there. It came up like this, right?
Yes.
You did okay. Now Dan
Yeah.
Smith shows here in SDR. You see it?
Yeah.
I do apply. Okay. Let's go now to Dan Smith right here. Member of. Right there. Why is yours not showing? You see, I'm in Dan Smith's account. I went to member of. He's part of IT department and he's part of SDR. If I go, okay. If I go now to SDR as well, go to members. It's part of. When you go to member of SDR, right? That means you're making SDR a member of a certain account. It's not about, if I want to make SDR part of Dan Smith, it's not going to show here. This has to do with SDR, not the people that are involved with SDR. So, okay, let me give you an example, like just a rough sketch of like, we here in this class, okay? I am SDR. You, Jarvis, you're part of my group. And Mr. Roland is part of my group. Cesar is part of my group as well. So 3 of you guys are part of my group. Then me now, I'm the head of this group, the 3 of you guys, right? But I have another person that's above me. That's head of my own group too. So I have to be a member of that person's group. So right now, that's why it says member of. So member of is a person of somebody else's group. It's not himself. So he's adding a policy to, I'm adding another policy to myself. Like right now, I manages Cesar, I manages Roland, and I manages Jarvis, as well as Miss Faith. Or let's okay, Miss Faith has her own group. She's above me. I have to be a member of Miss Faith's group so I can understand her group policies, like everything that has to do with her scope of work. I should be able to access the same thing that she's accessing. But you guys can only access what is in my own group that I've given you guys. But even if I'm a member of a Miss Faith group, it doesn't mean that you guys can access what I'm accessing with Miss Faith. Because that's what they call policies. I've set a policy that, okay, SDR is a part of IT. Same as Mr. Dan Smith here. Mr. Dan Smith here is a part of IT as well. He's a member of IT. You see here? Because he's a user. He's not a group. A group is different from a user. So group is a combination of a lot of people. Like I can go in here, let me just create another user again so we can differentiate. So I can do, let's say, Mark Speaksman.
While you are creating that, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
So you can create a group policy and then add another group policy inside that group policies, give you double group policies.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to explain to Mr. Jarvis right now. So you can make a group policy that, I have a group policy that has certain permissions. Like, okay, this group that I created is for people that are on the help desk. They have minimal admin rights. Then I can create another group and put other people in that group that have complete admin rights. But I can take one user that is part of both groups and add it to that full control admin right. That means the user has minimal admin right as well, and also he has full admin rights. Let's say the head of that group that has like minimal admin rights, I can make him have admin right for both sides. That's how you do it. So I'm doing Mac Speaksman. That's gonna be the user email account. Okay, password. All right, I don't want this user to expire ever. I'm gonna do that instead because that's my, all right, finish. So now I have another user. So
quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, so can I do something like, okay, I have the help desk, I have that group policy. I have another group policy that says service or let's say IT line or whatever. And they'll both have minimal rights.
Yes.
Can I create a group policy that I can add, okay, this is a group policy for a super user, but I'll just add any user. I just add that super user group policy and just add help desk and SDR to it. And then I can add that super user group policy to Dan Smith.
Yes.
Does it work like that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm about to show you with another user right now. Like you see how I have another user here. So Dan Smith, let's look at Dan Smith account. We'll put it on the side here. Dan Smith is right here. You see, these are the member of, this is what he belongs in. When I say member of, those are the groups that you belong in. It's just like you guys have you have a department, you're a member of the HR department, you're a member of help desk department, you're a member of finance, you're a member of legal department. You can see somebody as a member of the legal department and also a member of a member of HR department. That's how it goes. That means the person has both, he has admin rights to be able to access stuff from a legal department side and also have admin rights to be able to access stuff from an HR department side. Same goes like you can make the person, but it's different from somebody that's just person from HR department side. If you're somebody from HR department side, you cannot access stuff from legal department. So if we go in here, Spixman, let's go to Spixman, see what he has. So Spixman is right here. We have Dan Smith right here. Okay. So you see Dan Smith is part of this group. That's just account. So you see how the account name here, it gives an account name, but when a working environment, mine was different. You can see the profile here. So member of, he's a member just of the domain. And mind you, let me let you guys know about something. There's something, if you're on an Active Directory admin at your work, there's something I'm also going to tell you. You're going to see an email like, oh, we have this new user coming in. Can you please clone his account with Mr. This or Mrs. This? When they say clone his account, that word simply means give the same permission that Mr. XY has to the same permission that Mr. YZ has, that Mr. YZ that you're creating. So let's say, okay, I just created a Mr. Mark Sherman, and my boss told me like, oh, clone Mr. Mark Sherman's account with Mr. Dan Smith's account. That simply means that I should give Mr. Mark Spixman the same policies in here, all this that Mr. Dan has. That's the simple word that I mean by clone the account. When I say clone a user's account with this person, that means they are the same department and this was a new user. So give the person all the right that this person has to that same person too. So simply what you're going to do is that you're going to go into Active Directory, look for the person that you want to clone the account from. You're going to pull up his account the same way I just did right now. Go to member of, see all the group that he's involved with. You go now to the new user that you created. Add the same policy, like right now, okay, they say they just, my boss just told me to clone Mr. Dan Smith's account with Mr. Spixman's account. All I'm just going to do is like, I'll pull up Mr. Dan Smith's account right here on the side by side. You see side by side right now? I look what Mr. Dan Smith has. I come down into my Mr. Mark Sherman's account. I click add. I do SDR. I do check. It came up SDR. I do add. I go again. I see IT. I do add. I do IT. You can do multiple add-ins at once. Let me show you how to do multiple add-ins at once. So let's remove this one back. Yes. I could go here, add. I do I'm talking about something else, doing something SDR. I do check. It's gonna come out like that. I do comma space. I do IT. Do check. Oh, I did it's a comma. So do okay. So you see now it put a column. You see the column in the middle? There's a column right here. The two little dots. That's showing that it's differentiating. I've added the person to SDR and ID, and I can also add him to Dan Smith's group. All I'm just gonna do is space. I do Dan. Check. or this one's objects. So it will not add down space account to the user because those are just objects. So, but those are how you can add policies, multiple policies at once. So you can keep going. If there was multiple policies in the account, I could just keep going at once. You don't have to go do one, go back again, do another one, go back again, do another one. That means to create one account, if you have 50 users to create, how long is that going to take you? Maybe 2 months. So that's how you can do it. And also, there are also automated tools that are set up to this, like what the Gerald was saying last class, SCCM. You can use SCCM for this. You just have an automated tool that is set up to create users account automatically. And this is the more harder way to create a user account and set policies. You see now how I've cloned Mr. Dan Smith account with Max Sherman, right? So they all both have the same policy. So that's how it's going to be at the working environment. So give them the same policies. That's what I'm going to tell you. You just say clone the accounts. You're going to always hear that terminology that says clone this new person's account with this old user that's already been with the company because they work in the same department. And when it comes to automation, it's very, 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 very easy. All you're just going to do is the policy has already been written, the script has already been written. Then all you're just going to do, automate the script. It's going to ask for a username that you want to create. You put a username and it does the rest for you. That's how automation works. And then there's another one they call Office 365, which is the more simplest and easiest one. It has its own admin console, which works is the same way like Active Directory. It works the same way like Active Directory. But the good thing about Office 365 is that what? This one, you're doing a two-step process when it comes to Active Directory. Two-step process I mean by, you're going to create the user account here in Active Directory. Then you have to go again to Office 365 console, the admin console, and create the user's email account, which is going to be, the email account is going to be this one. This is going to be the user's email account. This one right here. So it's going to be the first name dot the last name at this.com. When you go now to Office 365 console, that's what you're going to go do in there. But with the Office 365 admin console, if you create, you can also create users account from there as well. If it's a new user of the company, I know it sounds crazy, but it's confusing right now. But you guys are it's gonna make sense. But I don't have the admin console. But if you watch video on just pull up a video on Office 365 admin console, it's gonna show you how it works. Once you create a user account in an Office 365 admin console, automatically it creates an account in Active Directory automatically. That's what they call the one-step process of creating a user's account. Active Directory has a two-step process of creating a user account. Why? Office 365 admin console has a one-step process. Because when you go into Office 365, okay, let's say they have a new user in the company. You go into Office 365, you create the user account in there. Automatically, it sends a signal to Active Directory that, oh, we have this new employee in the company. Create this account and give the person these certain policies, because you send all that information from Office 365. That's why I see a lot of companies nowadays are going into Office 365 on-prem, because it saves them money in the sense that what? Instead of them hiring an Active Directory admin, they'll just prefer to hire one Office 365 admin and save costs. But if the company is a big company that has too much money, and then they require somebody to be in the admin server to manage policies and other stuff. Because whoever is managing the 365 policies, admin console, can also manage Active Directory console. So if you know how to manage Active Directory console, you can start applying for Office 365 position. The only difference is that you see some things that you're not familiar with, which you can always research about them, do researches about them, and you understand it. But Office 365 is way, way more easier than Active Directory. And even though you have to, I always tell you guys this thing, you got to be very, 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 very careful when you're working on these two platforms. When you're in those two platforms, that is the backbone of the company. It's like the spinal cord of your body. If you break something in there, oh Lordy Lord. God help you if you don't cause a catastrophe, too bad, that I can forgive you and keep you in the company. Or if you cause a catastrophe, okay, you're out of the door. Because they cannot be paying $150,000 a year, and then you go you go do a minor crazy nonsense like that. They'll be like, okay, you know what, that money. Off you go. As easy as that.
Jobs here only 65 now.
Jobs where?
That what this training that we have, I'm only seeing 65, 70.
That means you have not looked harder. You have to look harder. I'm seeing jobs every day, $75,000, $80,000 a year minimum for an active directory position. And your language too has to count when you're applying for a job. When a recruiter calls you, you got to give them that. You got to speak like somebody who's done it before in the past, so they know that yes, this person is capable. Whatever you're going to ask, 80,000 is what they're asking for. It doesn't mean that that's the actual price for that job. At the end of the day, they're going to ask you, okay, what are you expecting for this position? Now they're telling you to give your price because you know what you're worth and you know your language. I remember when Mr. Jera told you guys about the latest job that me and him went through. We're fighting against. We're fighting against, but they ended up going with him because why? He asked for less, and I asked for more because I know what we were both what the same thing that I asked for, but he went that route because at some point, sometimes you gotta ask for less just because you want to get your feet in there. But always keep your grounds. Be confident with yourself. Very, very confident. If somebody asks something, say it with confidence. Don't doubt your price. Tell them that, okay, if you're worth 150,000 and they're offering you $100,000 job, tell them that, yes, I'm worth one. If you guys, this job, I know this job is worth $120,000 a year, but I'm asking for 110 because I know I worth. Even though you guys put there $100,000 a year, but I'm asking for 110. Now they'll bargain with you because they know that you know what you're worth and you know what you're asking for, and they know that this position is worth that money. They'll start telling you like, okay, can we give you 105 or maybe 104 or 116 or maybe start coming down. Now you know that they're almost on the same page with you. That's how you bargain with a recruiter. After when you've proved your point that what is on your resume, you can back it up. And I always tell you guys, be very, very careful when you're in Active Directory because it's like the backbone of the company. If you mess something up in there, you just fire a user in the company. And you're gonna get an email from HR department, not even from your boss. It's gonna come from HR department. If you see an email coming from HR department to you, first of all, before you open it, you gotta make the sign of the cross. Make sure they're not firing you, or they're hiring you for a newer position, or they're promoting you to a different position. So those are the two emails you always see from HR department, or you get a warning from them as well. Those are the kind of stuff. So you see any email from HR department, you gotta be very careful the way you do things in here and also on the 365 admin console. You gotta be very, very careful where you do things in here. So those are like the steps that I'm showing you guys. Those are gonna be some of your everyday and day jobs. So that if a recruiter asks you now at a job like, oh, you've worked with an Active Directory server, I see you have AD on your resume. What have you done with Active Directory? I create users account on my day-to-day basis, set policies, assign them to specific group policies. We just assign a user to a group policy right here. We just assign this user to a couple of group policies. That's what you tell the recruiter. This is my day-to-day. My day-to-day role at my job is I create users account, I manage this Active Directory, create group policies, assign group policies to new users, assign group policies to move users around, assign computers also. You can assign computers also to group policies. Like if we go in here, if you go to computers, if there was a computer in here, I can move that computer to a different group. Let me share my other machine so you guys can see the group policy in there for my job. Let me show this out of from workflow. Okay. Let's go to this one. So you guys can see the work environment itself. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right? Let's go now to Active Directory in my work environment. This is my Active Directory in my work environment. All right. So this is Active Directory in my work environment. So these are if I go here, these are computers that we have. You see how you saw computer? I have computers in the other one too as well. We have computers here too as well. If I click on computers, let me not click from here. I'll open down here, click from here. It's going to tell me data from this computer is not, oh, it's because I'm not connected to the VPN. I cannot access work stuff. Let me connect to work environment. Even though I'm doing this right now, they're capturing all my logins. But I mean, I'll tell them that I was doing weekend work. I was trying to catch up with some stuff that I was doing at the weekend. Because I was
about to ask that same question. I hope you won't get in trouble with all this.
No, I'm not gonna get in trouble. If I have admin access, I mean they trust me to give me admin rights to the company. So let me close this back and open it because I already have it pinned down to my taskbar here because I deal with it almost every day. That's why I reset users password and create users account and stuff like that. So now I went to computers. These are the computers that we have in here. So you go to corporate objects. It's just loading. These are just people in a corporate office. You see, we have, these are all employees. These are employees right here. Thousands and thousands of them. If you go work objects, it's going to show you work objects. These are all computers that you see right here. This is how on your virtual machine, if you add a computer to your domain, this is how it's going to pull up, it's going to come up right here. So we have IT workstation object. We have Knoxville workstation object because Knoxville is where the production center is, where they do production, because I work for a clothing line company. So in Knoxville, that's where they do all the production and all that stuff. So if you go domain controller.
Is that Knoxville, Tennessee?
Yes. We have Knoxville, we have Lakeview is down here in Massachusetts. But these are some computers here. See, these are domain controllers that we have. The domain controllers, these are all computers that we have. And these are servers, not even computers. These are servers. These are all domain controller servers right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 domain controllers on one company, in one company. That's just one company. There's some companies that have 50 domain controllers. And this one that you guys are seeing right now, these computers that you guys are seeing, these are just computers that we have available. I'm not even counting the virtual ones. We have about 500 virtual computers, which that one I cannot get access to because we have people that manages the virtual servers. There's somebody else that manages that. So it's the person that has a console to that can see all those things. If you go to users right here, these are users that we have right here. Let me just double click on one user so you can see the policies that the group policies that user is set to be. So this is a user's account right here. This user is it's a group. It's a group. It's not even a user. So this is a group right here. This group is yes.
Please. If I may ask, so what do you do at work? Is it just with the Active Directory?
No, I don't manage just Active Directory. At my job, I do new hires. Like when we have a new hire employees at my job, I'm the one that create their accounts in here, set policies. Because I just mentioned something about like you're gonna get an email that says that, oh, we have this new employee starting next week. Can you clone this user's account with this user? Simply means that they're telling you that older user that they want you to clone the account with is an old employee of the company. And the new user that they're trying to hire is going to work in hand in hand. The same role that other person is working, that's going to be the same role the new person is working. So you're going to go in here, pull up that old employee's account, right? Like this. So if I go, let me open a user instead. So these ones that are single, they could be a user, okay. Let me find a user instead. Okay, let me use the example of me. Let me go search myself for my job. So, okay, let's say, okay. All right, I have 2 accounts in my company. You see, I have 2 accounts. Let's say, okay, this is my that's an O, let's call my admin account, my O account for my company. Put it here. Then this one is a new user that I'm about to create. Let's say I'm trying to create a new user for the company, which is this one. Oops. So these are the 2. This one right here, this is the old employee of the company that they want you to clone his account with. Then this is the new employee that I just created right here. They want you to clone this person's account with this old person that's already been with the company. So you're going to come into Active Directory, pull up the account like this, the way it is. After you've created the user account, you know how to create a user account. I'll show you guys, right? To create a user account, you have to create the user first. Then you come now, you pull up, you go to properties on the user's account, pull it up like this. You go now to where it says member of on both of them. You click member of this one. You go on this one too, member of. If this was a new user, you will not see anything in here. The only thing you're going to see in here is going to be the domain, this one that says associate of Hingham, or Hingham Associates. That's our own domain name. Like you saw on my computer, it showed domain name, then it showed kingsley.com, right? But this is our own company one that they put in there. They can change, you can rename it. You can rename to a different thing. Like I can go here, I can rename this. Change, or you can make changes. Whoever sets the policy. But so now they'll tell you that clone this person's account with this person. By you doing so, you have to come into this person's account, look at all the policies that the person is involved with. Because automatically in the company, when you create a user account, right, there are standard policies that are going to be assigned to that user account automatically without even you doing anything. When you open it, you're not just going to see the domain controller policy. No, you're going to see a bunch of other policies that have been set by the company that any user that is created with this company is supposed to have all these policies all the way to this. If they want extra one, depending on the department that they are in. If it's HR department, they'll say, okay, give this person HR department policies. When we're talking about policies, let me just clarify this first of all. We talk about policies, right? Those are like roles. If you assign a policy to somebody, it's telling that person that, okay, you have access to this drive, you have access to this drive, you have access to this drive. Like you see mine here, if I go to File Explorer, because I'm a member of IT department, I have access to certain drives. If I go here, this PC, these are my drives that I have. Anybody that is in the same group with me, they're going to have these two drives. Because why? They've been put in the same group policy with me. If you're not in the same group policy with me, if you're in the HR department, they have their own drives. IT department, they have their own drives that they access. Finance, they have their own drive that access that we don't have access to those drives. We don't even have access to. If I try to connect to any of those drives, I won't be even able to connect to it because why? I don't have permission. Permission has been set on those drives that have been mapped like this. Those drives have been mapped and has permission on them that if you're not a member of this group, you cannot access that drive. Same as what we're talking about here. If you're not a member of any of these groups, these are groups. These are all group policies right here. If you're not a member of any of these groups, okay, you see how it has here domain users? This is the domain controller right there. This one is going to have domain users as well. Right there. You see they both have domain users, right? Those are all standard policies that comes in your computer. You don't have to even bother about like, I have to go add into a domain controller. No. A domain user account, no. Those ones, they already been set by Active Directory admin. They have another group policy that automated tool that once that computer connects to the network, a server runs all the settings and install it there.
One question.
Yes.
This automated, these policies that are automated, is it the software that does it, or while creating a policy, you can set it to happen to be automatic?
You can set it to be automatic, right?
Yeah.
There's what they call an automated tool. You guys are going to get into familiar into automated tools when we get into Linux, because some of those things they help you with Linux, because you don't have to be writing scripts all the time to run an install. That's how you got to do it.
But how about on this?
On this one, Active Directory, right? The policies are already set, and then the automated tool, you can they set automated tool just for the reason why they set it just for standard application. Because why? I mean standard policies. Why? Because you don't know what department that user is going to be in. All departments don't have the same policies. Understand right now? It makes your point, right?
Yes. So, but is it possible we try to do it here, or we don't have enough resources?
No, I don't have enough resources to do it here. I don't want to do it on my work machine because it's going to mess up stuff. So I don't even want to get into that. Yeah. But when you get into the work environment, they say the learning never ends, because even in your work environment, you still got to learn new things. We might be teaching you something right now, but you go into a work environment, you're going to see something different, but it's going to be similar to it. Okay? It's going to be definitely similar to this. All right, guys, we're going to end here today because I think we have to do some run up first for some couple of stuff. Make sure everybody's on the same page before. Let me just close my work stuff so you guys don't hack into my system. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with you guys.
Thank you, Kingsley.
No worries.
Hacked it already.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. Wonderful presentation.
You want me to continue recording, or you want me to stop?
I just want us to do a 10 minutes count because I want us to always be refreshed, because we cannot learn and forget, right? So this is going to be a regular thing we're going to be doing every week, so we don't forget the things we learn. Because if we don't refresh ourselves, then we're going to forget, and we're going to start being like, hey, what is a switch? What is Active Directory? What is group policy? We've forgotten. We're not going to forget in this class because we're all going to be pros. But I thank you guys for your patience. I thank you guys for your understanding all the brilliant questions you guys are asking.
That they've been bombarding me with questions. Huh?
I'm
I'm
impressed,
feeling scared.
you know. And
Next class, I'm
I
gonna
have
come like
one more
this.
thing to say. If you really want to get a job quick, if you want to get a job by the time we are getting into Linux, take Active Directory, group policy. What we're doing right now, very important. Active Directory, Office 365, group policy. If you understand them in and out, you'll be getting a job in the next 3 weeks. I guarantee you.
And just to add to what Mr. Jara said, tomorrow I'm not going to talk again about Active Directory. That's done today. But you can have questions because tomorrow I have to go into RAID because RAID is another thing that goes with Active Directory, RAID and file system. That's what we have to do tomorrow. So you guys get the understanding. So you guys can start applying for jobs.
Yeah. So I think we are all familiar with RAID. So that's why I give you the homework in advance. So you guys learn about these things, read about them. So when we cover the topics,
you can keep me with questions.
Nothing is unfamiliar to you. So tomorrow we're gonna do Office 365, RAIDs, file systems, and that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Then I'll show you guys how ticketing system work.
Yes, and ticketing systems.
Yes, I'll show you guys how
tell you about different ticketing systems and how they work, because you're gonna come across different ticketing systems based on what company you're with. And so guys, thanks a lot again. You know, you guys are, it's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be easy because you guys are smart.
I promise you, it's gonna be a fun stuff when you get familiar to it.
It's I know that the material is piling up, and at some point it's gonna feel like it's a lot, but hey, you don't need to know everything. It's impossible to know everything, but the one that you know in and out. Right. I don't expect you to know everything, but the one that you know, if they wake you up from sleep, you should be able to tell that, hey, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this. And one thing too, another problem that we face is we know the stuff. However, when it comes to articulating ourselves or presenting the stuff, it becomes a problem. And that's one thing that we need to be practicing, you know, how to explain concepts confidently, how to look an interviewer in the eye and tell this person I have 4 years of experience, I've been doing this at this company. You say it confidently and convince the person to get you that job. We will be practicing that. And that begins with using the right terminologies, you know, quit saying my machine or my system. If we are talking about AD, we talk about AD. If you're talking about a domain controller, talk about a domain controller, things like that. If you're talking about an antivirus, you're talking about an antivirus. You know, we have to be very, very name specific as we are becoming more professional and building all these skills. So once again, guys, thank you. Let's do a 10 to 15 minutes count. And
quick
after
question
that,
before we go into that, sorry, Gerard.
Call it the day. So let me set up the count.
Kinsley.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you did teach us how to create the policies, but we didn't have any restrictions on all the policies we created. So I still don't have any idea how to put restrictions on the policies.
You can right click on it, go to securities. If you go onto let me see. Did I turn on my machine? Oh, it locked out.
I can try that myself before class tomorrow.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, to do it.
If you have questions like that, I mean, you can always go to YouTube. Just search on like how to set group policies and Active Directory. It will always give you. There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to give you something.
So, how many policies can a company have?
Multiple, hundreds and thousands of policies.
How many have we used here?
How many have we
used here?
We haven't used yet because we're still getting there. Mr. Bismarck, I see you're like 2 miles ahead of me.
Guys, just a second.
All right.
I think one of my machines has been infected. I need to work on it right after this.
You say it was Kawood, right?
So, Mr. Kinsley, I just want to ask you something.
Yes.
If you go to the policy computers and you want to prevent like USBs from entering, how you put that policy?
That's I think that's some that's something I've really never really paid attention to. But I can do a research on it and give you an answer on that afterwards. I can do research on that, yeah.
Okay.
I've really never paid attention to that, but I'll do a research on that and give you a answer back on that. It's been a while since I used that because we don't even do that anymore with companies because it's already been set automated. So we don't really like go manually and do stuff like that in it because it's already been, we set them already like from the beginning when they build in the server and stuff like that. You just be a server and set like a firewall, like, oh, if this person plug a USB into this, that mostly that's a concept. I know your I don't know if you work at a bank. Do you work at a bank?
I have worked at the bank.
Okay, so I know why your question is coming from like that because I did a project for Santander Bank, which is a bank here out in the United States. I did a project for them, and all their computers has that policy on them. All their computer has that policy on it. You cannot plug a USB cable on a USB key on any of that laptop that's on that domain in that computer center because of security policy and their policies, because it's a bank. They don't know if you're trying to put a spy in there to see how transactions are being made, to see people's accounts and stuff like that. Or they don't know if you're trying to copy information and put an automated tool that if they run an application, it's going to steal information and send it to you, other stuff. So that's why they block the USB ports. For banks, that happens mostly just in banking and finance environments. Like if you see in my company, the finance department will have that kind of policy. Finance department will have that kind of policy. Accounts payable, they have that kind of policies as well.
Thank you.
Yep. So you said it's kahoot.com, right?
Yeah, I'm about to log in, don't worry.
No, I want to get my own ready because today.
No, you just need to, when I set it up, you just enter the pin. Yeah, but you can go to the website and.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have to go to kahoot.com. What's it called again?
Okay. So.
What?
Okay, everyone, go to this website, kahoot.it.
Oh.
And when it opens up, put in this game code, please. Go to access it on your phone, not on your machine, on your phone. And when it does that, it's gonna ask you to put in your name. It's gonna say nickname, but put in your name so I know who you are, and then you're gonna appear here. So guys, go ahead.
What is the game pin?
I'll put fake name.
7455258.
Okay, Bismarck is in, Ola is in, Kingsley is in.
Last time was Mr. Jonathan that won.
Jarvis is in. Faith is in. Cesario, still waiting for you.
Do I need to like sign up or create user account?
No, go to kahoot.it. As soon as you go to kahoot.it, it's gonna ask you to put in this code.
Okay. I did.
Cesar, you didn't put in your name. You're supposed to put in your name.
Oh, I thought I did.
That's why you came out like you came out with a code, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just understand that you are the code.
Yes.
Kingsley, did you drop out? I don't see Kingsley anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm still there.
I don't see you here. Okay, Kingsley. Okay, you're there.
Yeah, just because I switched the screens.
Oh, okay. I see. All right, let's start. We have everyone. All right, let's go.
This again. It's not showing the answers. Oh, okay.
Wow. Who got the answer wrong?
It says the answer is a software. A server is not a software.
A server.
What is it? What is the server?
I got it wrong too.
I'm the only one that
put on your camera. Let's talk about server for a minute. So what is the server? Well, you just installed. You've been working on a Windows 2012 server. Is that not the software? What is that?
Yeah, but I assume that it could be either it could be virtual, but then again, the computer we're working on could be actually a physical computer or
let me just answer a question.
What makes a physical computer to work? What actually makes a computer to work? The software that you put on the hardware, right?
Yeah, but that then it will be the maybe if it was like a Windows 2016 server, then that's
you can have a computer, right? You can buy a computer from Best Buy, has hard drive, everything on it, but it does not have an operating system. That's not a computer.
Yes, so a server is an operating system. So without the operating system, which is a software on that hardware, the hardware is never going to work. The computer is never going to work. It's going to be useless.
Yes.
So there is no way you can select a network gear. That doesn't even make sense. There's no way you can select an application. An application is software, but the right answer here should be software.
Okay.
So is that clear?
It's an OS software. There's difference between OS software and applications. Application is something you can delete anytime, but software is something that you install like a backbone that carries another application on them. Mr. Let's say no way it can be a software.
It's good. That's why I love Kahoot, because it brings the best out of us, and we can take time and go through the questions that people don't have right. So I'm going to the next question.
The question doesn't show on our phone. It shows on the computer, but it doesn't show on our phone.
Yes, it's not supposed
to show. We just only see the boxes.
Yes, it
doesn't. On your phone, yeah. On your phone, you just need to select the answer.
You select the box that has the color.
Okay.
Well, so let's say
will you be able to close the Google Chrome, your antivirus? Can you close it so we can see the screen better?
Because that's why I said my system is infected. I'll fix it after class.
Okay.
I'll try as much to make sure you see everything.
Okay. So if you see the answer is green in a green box, just select green box on your phone.
Yes. So this one, just select true or false. Select the right color on your phone. Here's the question up here, way on the top. Nice. Next question. Okay. So who got the question wrong?
Mr. Jura, please, I don't know. I'm having issues with mine.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, I was trying to get out my my Zoom screen is actually the what's it called? The grill is actually covering the question, so I had to move it away.
Okay.
So I just had to change it to screen.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, if you miss one, doesn't mean that's the end. We have about 50 questions, 57 questions to go.
That's why I minimize the Zoom and put it aside, so it's not gonna cover any question. So maybe you want to do it like this.
Yeah, I've done it. I've changed it to thumbnail.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Next question.
Next, we are going. Okay.
Hola.
This is part of your notes. If you've been studying, you have this one easily.
Yep.
Oops. Timer.
Yes, it has a timer. It has a timer.
What?
Good job,
timer.
guys.
So you got, they're trying to make you don't have time to search. You don't have to Google search because you're trying to Google search. There's a timer on it. So you think they'll just give you the answer like that and have you go to Google search? It's not going to make it fun.
Simple network management protocol.
Beam.
Okay. All right. Guys, practice your protocols and ports, guys. It's important. Next.
I see. Okay.
Anyone who gets this wrong will be in serious trouble with me. Excellent, guys. Ooh.
Is it not?
Yes, Ola, you have any concern?
Yeah, I thought it was 2021, and I saw 20 and 21 here, so that's why.
Yeah, they say what 2 ports, so you can either answer can work.
Oh.
If you had the blue one, if you had the green, the orange one, it still wins.
And imagine I actually knew the answer and I picked 22.
It doesn't mean that you have to select both answers at once. You can select just one. Turn it. Uh,
That time is too much.
What?
Yep, everybody got it right.
That time was too much, first of all. 200.
Yeah, I'll carry it like on the ones that I know is straightforward. I'll carry like after 10 seconds. No.
Can you minimize the antivirus? I think it's still blocking the screen.
Can you please minimize that?
Minimize it. Oh.
Okay. Where is the network firewall most commonly placed? So
minimize that.
You understand why the right answer is between the LAN and the.
And the virus is blocking the screen, so we can't really see the questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This thing is.
Go to notification. Go to notification and cancel. Go to notification and stop the notification from there. No, go to notification on your computer. Go to search bar. Type notifications.
Okay.
You can uncheck notifications from there, so it doesn't get that notification. Go to notification. Yep, and actions. Go to Google. Scroll down. Go to Google Chrome. No. You can uncheck just Google Chrome. Yes, uncheck the Google Chrome so it doesn't give you that notification anymore. There you go. Geniuses. So you guys just learn one more thing too.
Okay. So let me switch this now.
Looks like the screen is frozen.
Okay, so we're all set now. So you understand why the green is the right answer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bismarck, you're on point today, huh? Oh, it's very quick.
Okay. Everyone got it.
Very quick as well. No time to check time.
Who got it wrong?
I did by accident.
Okay. So what's the right answer?
IP address.
Nice.
Okay. Very quick as well. This was supposed to be 5 seconds.
Okay, everyone got it. Nice.
You don't even need to look at the question. The answer is right there in front of you.
Exactly. Nice.
The answer is right
You
there.
guys are smart.
Damn.
Okay, I like this one.
Oh no. You know what that means?
Okay, nice.
Somebody who failed?
That was me.
Okay.
.vpn is not a domain. You guys remember when I was telling you guys examples of domain, right? I said .com, .net, .org, .edu, .gov, but I never mentioned .vpn. There's nothing like .vpn. So whoever said
don't mind me, that was me. I saw VPN picture and I was like, oh yay, faster sugar.
That's what they're trying to get you. That's what I said. That's what they're trying to get you. You gotta be vigilant.
Okay.
This is very simple, which is not a domain name. If anybody faces one, then I have to give you a crack.
Excellent, guys. So here they're actually asking for the port.
What?
Guys, DNS is port 53. Don't forget, port 53. Don't forget that.
Write that down.
And this one, first day of class, I said, if anyone, this is the simplest port to know.
Not everybody remembers, man.
Guys, you cannot forget NTP. I said 123. 123. So that's the easiest port to remember.
ABC.
Network time protocol. 123. Please
just
don't
say
forget.
ABC.
Yes, like saying ABC. 123 for NTP. That's one manages time. So the reason why you are able to travel from California to Florida and the time on your phone automatically changes is because of network time protocol.
Yep.
What is Ethernet?
Oh no, I still confuse this one again.
Kingsley, you feel it?
Yeah, I'm the one with the red. I usually confused because the other one down. That's my problem. They almost sound the same thing, but
which one down?
I mean the standard one, the standard ways. Yeah. Okay. No worries. I'm giving gap for other people so they can they feel themselves. Doesn't mean I don't know. Oops. I almost missed. Phone locked up. Ethernet cable is for
What around?
Cesar.
so when Cesar, each time you hear about Ethernet, think about cabling. Yeah. How devices in a LAN are connected. Don't think about wireless.
Wire to wire.
Into it.
Yeah, think about wire to wire. Don't think about wireless. So the cables that you use in an Ethernet LAN will determine the speed of data transfer in that LAN. That's why we have Cat5 cables transferring data at a different speed, Cat6 at a different speed, Cat6E or Cat5E at different speeds. Who filled this question too?
Two people.
I was still reading into it. I didn't pick an answer.
The difference between Wi-Fi and Ethernet. So look at the right answer. Do you know why it's none of the above?
It could still be the other one that says Wi-Fi requires a physical connection. It could still be that one, but that was not the whole point about the question. The question says, what is the difference between? They're talking about like the speed, as Gerard said earlier.
Okay. Nice. Let's go. Look at the speed transfer, 10 gigabytes.
Pay attention to that.
You point you to the right answer. Oh shit, I went too fast.
That's okay.
One person got it wrong.
Oh, what? Again?
Switch is layer 2, guys. Don't forget. Okay. That's the right answer. Boss. Who can tell me why boss is the right answer and not ring or star? Who selected boss? Those who had the answer right. I want somebody to give me an explanation. Why is the answer boss? Why is everybody silent? Feed, you got the answer right. So tell me, why is it boss?
I kind of know it in my head, but I'm trying to bring it out. So I think I don't know how to put it though.
Okay, look at the question. It says which of the following physical topologies are used with Ethernet networks? And you said
I know it's because of
okay.
the way bus is connected, because they're
okay, how's the bus connected?
LAN. They are basically used in the LAN, and it's just the connection is kind of not connected in a line.
Gerard, I want to make you host because I need to run.
Yeah, you're correct. Go ahead, Kingsley.
Yeah,
that's the right answer. You have a one central connection that everything hooks up to, right? So you cannot really use that to do a star.